Futures down sharply here this morning following escalating tensions in the Middle East and the weekend strikes by the U.S. in Iran. We're seeing sharp increases and sharp gains, meanwhile, for oil, for metals. We'll talk about gold. We'll talk about silver coming up here this morning. But overall, markets down more than 1% right now, depending on what you're looking at. Nasdaq, S&P, Dow, all three under significant pressure here. Individual names moving around as well. Tesla, its own headline once again. We'll touch on some Cybertruck news coming on the back of what happened going back to Friday and some repricing of the Cybertruck last week. We had a sharp sell-off into the weekend and then a little bit of a decline, to say the least, here this morning. BRK.B down 30%. The cash pile is still enormous, but overall, some of these numbers not great. Operating profit down 30%. Occidental stake, they've written that down entirely. So a little bit of a change here for Berkshire as well.
Maybe Occidental start moving for them, Brendo, with what's going on, obviously, in the Middle East. Good morning, guys. Yep, not a great way to start the morning, but we all know what's going on in the Middle East. And as Brendo mentioned, oil's moving. You got the metals moving. Travel names as well, Brendo. Some of the airlines.
Downside.
NCLH, what a day for NCLH to report today. I mean, it is what it is. There is a whole lot to talk about. A couple of NVIDIA headlines as well. Amazon with an outage in the Middle East as well, likely due to some falling debris. Also investments in Spain. So some Mag 7 names. And as you mentioned, maybe a little greener pastures now for Tesla in Europe with some rising sales. But when you look at, where we're coming from.
And as I was saying, I mean, on the back of him just cutting these prices, he gets February data and then it's like, okay, everything's fine. Let's add a little bit anyways back on.
I was chuckling to Neil. I'm like, he put the $10,000 discount on the Cybertruck for like, what, 10 days?
Yeah.
All right, 10,000 for 10 days.
I hope anyone took advantage of that, or someone took advantage of that wanted one of those. But more important things to talk about, obviously, today. Oil, as we said, to the upside in a big way. Doesn't matter which one you look at. They're all going to be just rocket ships right now. CVX, as we were just saying, and Occidental, both gapping to the upside. Oil up better part of 9% at the highs when futures got going this morning. We are coming back in a little bit right now. Interesting enough, I was keeping an eye on, over the weekend, I was keeping an eye on Bitcoin. And the not only was there not a move higher, it was more of a little bit of a leak to the downside, or continuation move to the downside.
It's still consolidating that what looks to be a bearish flag on the daily. What I was telling my friends though on the weekend is I could tell exactly what time the strike took place. Despite the fact that, President Trump put his video, I just went to look at the chart on Bitcoin, and I saw the flat bottom break. I'm like, oh, that's when it started to drop. It tried to recover a little bit yesterday. You could see it was trying to make the move into 67, but right below 66 it goes again.
Yeah, IBIT here back to 37.50. Disregard this candle right now. There's dark prints coming through, so all the candles going to be a little bit wider than expected. So lots to consider today, lots to consider over the next coming, let's be honest, probably weeks, as far as the market is concerned, as far as what is happening in the Middle East is concerned. But you're in the right spot. Happy Monday. Good morning, guys.
Yeah, good morning. Maybe not the happiest Monday for everybody, but let's be real. There's going to be a lot of volatility this week, no questions asked about it. And it's kind of obvious the places to look. All that being said, as Sheep was mentioning about Bitcoin, Bitcoin's actually slightly up. So we're a little bit better off. You're not saying it's a flight to safety. If you want to find that, go look at gold, go look at silver, go look at the metals and how they're doing. Obviously, energy names are going to be in play. Don't forget, we had a bunch of movers, had earnings last week that might not be on the front of your mind because of the conflict. So you're thinking about defense names, you're thinking about energy right now, you're thinking about travel, but shouldn't forget that we had some quantum names reporting. We're going to have Big Bear reporting tonight. We also had the story with Anthropic getting blacklisted, and that moved Palantir. So there's a lot that happened at the end of the week that you don't want to forget about those catalysts because they can provide day 2, day 3 type of plays. But yeah, some nasty looking charts. NVIDIA's under 175 bucks. Not looking too good. They're under the 50 on the daily. Sorry, the 50 on the daily here for NVIDIA, and Tesla right at the 200 period moving average. So yeah, we're hanging on the precipice in a bunch of names, and it should be a pretty volatile start to the week for sure.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? We really hit that Palantir trade on Friday. That was a really good one there when we got that. sort of Anthropic news there, and then the United States and Trump goes with OpenAI. So, but Palantir up obviously today as everyone's talking about drone strikes this weekend. So that's pretty much the main choice of retaliation, it seems like, for Iran right now, striking different hotels in Dubai, Bahrain, and different areas, Saudi Arabia, and so on and so forth. So we just hope that everybody is safe out there. I'm actually really surprised, that silver is not moving higher right now. So I'm going to be looking for a long in silver, long in gold today. I mean, this is what you have to do, right? It's unfortunate, but the Nasdaq's down 1.5%. So these names continue to climb a little bit higher. I thought they'd be much higher than where we are. XOM 160 is super interesting as well, as this name is up 4% today. So some at 5%. Some of these names just keep on going, and yeah, no stop or no end in sight. People asking, is it time to, sell your long-term holdings? I mean, probably not. Down again here today. What a month of February, man. Took down a lot of the market, and continues here in March. So, we get that strike, and now it's a problem. Oil, obviously, the J contract here. I have to figure out which contract is the one we're supposed to be looking at, but they're up $72 right now, up 8%, as Brendan mentioned here, up 9% at its highs. We'll see if we take that out, $73 here a barrel. But yeah, I don't know. It's just going to be one of those names, or one of these days, where I'm going to be going long on metals, short on equities, and that's about it, man. It's pretty simple game plan for me today. Just short everything in the equity space, and really look to go long on silver. The only one I have written down right now is long silver. And then, yeah, short IBIT, just because of what Sharif had mentioned there. I'm surprised. Like, I thought with all this tension and all this stuff ratcheting up, Bitcoin would have been a lot higher than maybe where we are. And we're not. We're even, if anything, we're coming back in here today. So I'm going to continue to play Bitcoin weakness and see if we can short that on its pre-market lows. So, yeah, for all of our friends and viewers watching there in the Middle East and basically anywhere in the world, just hope you're safe. There was also an incident in the United States.
Yeah.
There's lots of stuff happening right now, and just we're here to trade it all. It's not going to be political or anything like that. We just I wish to go long everything, but if they're setting up right now, I believe it's short. So gold and silver longs, shorting on IBIT, shorting on the Nasdaq for me today.
Yeah, I mean, the only non-related name that I'm looking at is some continuation from last week, quite frankly, in some quantum names. I mean, they're down anyways. For continuation, and QBTS is down 6%. I'm looking to short that. CoreWeave, it's so easy to forget that this was one of the worst. This was already one of the worst to end the week, and now you have tech coming into the downside. So it's catching some strays, because there were good bounces at the end of the day on Friday in some of the more depressed names, and then we give it all right back up. So names like this look like they just want to break down further. Quantum, as I was mentioning a second ago, like QBTS on Quantum, which had a good 3-day decline if you were looking for the short side, has some continuation aspects to it as well. So like volatility, no questions asked, is going to be in some of these. We get it, energy and travel, but you don't want to look too far away from some of the tech names, which were already getting spanked a little bit. And they should not necessarily take big hits due to the conflict in Iran. But when you get a little bit of risk off, that tends to be how it ends up playing out. So look out for some of the miners, probably, if you're looking for a little bit of strength. Maybe the VIX is going to be your jam as well. But it's an ugly, like my quote board this morning was completely ugly. Like almost nothing into the green, and you look at what was strong, and it's like, okay, oil and natural gas, VXY, it's just all energy names, and a little bit of defense as well. One surprising one, see this? Boeing, there's something about this stock. It's like they get sort of, you get half of the defense, right, which is supposed to be good. But like, what, are you supposed to tell me that they're not going to get any kind of a bounce with the defense names? Why? Because travel names are going to be down? None of the actual effects of airlines being down is a long-term effect on Boeing. So it's a weird one that they don't get even a little bit of a defense bump. That's a disappointing name for me, only up 0.5 point today. But again, that's just more of an annoyance than anything else. Like, you look at the actual airlines which are going to be affected, and Delta down, UAL down 6%. I mean, breaking key levels too. So like that I would expect, but I would not be shocked if we see maybe in a couple of days, we could see a little bit of a relief rally in these. We're expecting that this could be a 3-4 week conflict. And even then, things are not always that simple depending on what kind of a transition of power or regime change ends up. It can end up getting more prolonged. So there's a lot of uncertainty with this right now. But I'm a little surprised Boeing didn't get more of a bump. In the long run, the airlines, this shouldn't really affect like orders in the long run, which would, you know, that's what should be hurting them.
I think most people right now are very cautious of traveling, of
That's
course, right? So, you know, a name like Lockheed Martin up 5%. That's another one. RTX, another one that's up here in the pre-market as well. Some of these defense names, right? I mean, both up 5%. We saw Palantir up 5% as well, or 4% today. So that's starting to go obviously on a bump there late as well from Friday. So some of the names that make sense. I think Boeing makes sense as well. So that would be another one to look at. And then we have Netflix right now hanging up the bid, right? And so right there, you got Netflix moving around today as well. That's down another 2%. This would be maybe a name that I would look to buy weakness on, just because of it was such a good story there on Friday, moving back up higher and breaking through that $85 marker right there, right? And that gave us that sort of juice. And now I think the next move is higher. We're trying to break right there, $97. It would have done it today, I feel like, is if we didn't have any, you know, overseas turbulence. So. Yeah, I really like some Netflix there today. Yeah, as you mentioned, BBAI. Marvell coming through this week. Very, very bullish on Marvell reporting this week. And then, you know, one of the biggest names that we always miss, Broadcom. They're going to be coming as well, right? We always say, like, oh, my God, there's nothing else left after NVIDIA, but there's a big one right here with Broadcom coming through soon. So that should be a fun one this week. Bunch of different earnings names. Target coming through this week as well. So, yeah, I think today will be a very, very risk-off day. So I'm looking short and long on the metals, short on pretty much every equity, and we'll just play it from there. Oil names obviously would be the opposite of that. Would go look long if we could do something on oil. Yeah, I don't know. I want to be short Bitcoin in this move as well. So, yeah, lots of stuff happening there. We've got Joe in the building, Neil. Everybody's here today. I think Adara's actually off today.
I think she'd be a little bit late.
Oh, late. That's what it was. It was late. Yeah, I remember on Friday she had mentioned there about the watch list. So, okay, let's go back. We have Michael Nauss coming today as well.
We have Nauss coming. There was another story that we kind of... See, I knew this was going to happen because of what happened over the weekend. Remember there was that rumor, that speculation anyways, that this being the start of March, we could get a SpaceX IPO. Unfortunately, that DXYZ, the Destiny is all the way back to where it was before, but that got a bit of a spike on that news, and some of the space names were moving around. So those could be in play. Unfortunately, it's like nothing managed to hold their moves, and even these gave back. ASTS, I believe, reports after the bell tonight in addition. So yeah, there's the chance that March could bring us a massive IPO, though haven't heard anything outside of the speculation that we got last week. But it would be really exciting to actually see a big IPO this month. So we'll be jazzed for that if it does happen. And here's Randy with a couple of cups. Joe, my hands are freezing, but I also feel like I'm colder because I have no hair in my head. That could be a little bit too.
Maybe.
Appreciate it, Randy. You got to get yours done.
I know.
You're due. He's long overdue for a buzz.
All right. Yeah, good. Well, it's actually, today's going to be the last day of coldness, apparently, around here. So it's supposed to be really, really nice moving forward.
Do you see these flood warnings for later in the week?
Is there flood warnings? Well, that makes sense.
For like
Thursday.
We're going to get a bunch of rain.
Okay.
Well, I don't know, but it's for some places in Ontario. I don't know if like northern New York's going to have the same thing too. We're supposed to get some rain Wednesday and Thursday, and then with all the melting snow, it's going to cause some risk. So
you ready to get those basement flood damage insurance claims ready to go. That happens all the time here.
It does happen here. That's what it is.
Okay. Yeah, Broadcom, everything moving around here today. It should be a fun one, man. Most names you're going to call up on your screen are going to be down that 3%, right? 2 to 3%, pretty much. Let's just pick a name. Let's go with AMD. I haven't even looked at this yet today. All right, here's AMD. How much are we down? We are down, there it is, 2.75. So, you know, pick one and just call it up. And you'll be roughly around 2 to 3% on all of them. Here goes Meta as well. Ooh, Meta beating everything else. Oh, no, there it is. Oh, nope, it's going back and forth with the dark pool prints right there. But Meta, anyways, you get what I'm saying, all down about 2%. And then Sharif mentioned here, it's one of the only tech names here on our watch list today, Amazon getting hit. hit a little bit with their data centers having some disruptions over there in, I believe it was the Middle East. So we'll have to wait to see what happens with Amazon today and if they have any complaints about potential business shortage or stoppages or anything like that for Amazon today. But I would say no. I mean, the fact that it's only down where we are right here, we're okay. Yeah, it looks like we've got our game plan ready to go. I hope you guys do as well, and you're in the right spot. It's now 8:15. Let's go back over the desk, see what the boys are up to.
Some of the other airlines, Delta, one of those, just trying to pop back above 62, an interesting level here for Delta. There was its own headline as well for DAL today with an order of 34 more Airbus 321 Neo jets. Delivery is going to be in 2029, however. Not going to affect things, let's be honest, today with everything else going on. But underlying for some of these airlines, as the guys were mentioning, long term, this probably is buying opportunity.
See the Dubai airport?
Yeah.
See videos?
Yeah.
It's absolute chaos. And some of the richest people live there and they can't get out. It's like they're almost stuck. Apparently the only way to actually escape Dubai right now is to drive 2 hours to Oman and then fly out from there, because you can't fly anything in the area. And all the Emirates closed down, whether it's Abu Dhabi, Dubai, you name it, it's shut down. So that's going to have corollary effects, of course,
definitely
on other airlines. And you're seeing it right here, Brendo. Jets, the ETF guys, is down more than 4% here to start the morning. And you're seeing cancellations everywhere. Nearly 2,400 flights were canceled in just the Dubai airport alone. So we're going to have to see if this can rebound. Also, you're getting NCLH and some of the cruise carriers as well this morning, weak on, assumptions that there could be cancellations or some sort of delays with embarkments, Brendo. So lots of things to keep an eye on.
This is obviously a very secondary topic, and with more important things to concern ourselves about today doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But even the Formula One season is supposed to get started this weekend in Australia, and a lot of the traveling from Europe to Australia goes through this part of the world. So they're wondering if that is even going to happen this weekend. Then the next 2 weeks after that, they're back in the Middle East, Bahrain and Saudi. So they're wondering if those are going to be in jeopardy as for races.
Well, it's a strategic location of like the Emirates, right? So it's like if you want to fly somewhere in Asia, for let's just say India, you take a connecting flight from here to the Emirates. So it's like a global hub, right? Yeah. And so that's why so many of the disruptions are happening.
Yeah, so lots of travel chaos, unfortunately, to deal with today, guys. But as far as the travel names are concerned, if you zoom out on a higher time frame, there is definitely levels you can start to deal with here, I think, for some of these.
Yeah, I think so. Like, obviously, they're not gonna. I don't know. I'm not that optimistic that you get like an immediate bounce. But when you look at like a UAL in particular, and they've been pretty good the last little bit. But it's like, do you feel great about buying the dip here, thinking, okay, well, everyone's going to be overreacting to this, and buying it in front of the 200 period, and then if it's not an overreaction, to me, you could see 15. I don't know, I mean, to next support, you're talking 80 to 85. So, at that point, you're looking at 15% from here to the downside. So, yeah, you're at some major support levels, but it's almost like you want to treat this, you want to give it this whole, treat it with a couple of days to see how things settle down. But I don't suspect we're going to get a lot of certainty in the next couple of days. Like, I'm not sure exactly what's going to make us feel better in the short run the next couple of days. So I need to see something pretty distinct on one of these to like the long side. There was a somewhat positive, I mean, Delta had its own story. Like, it's one of those days where, everything is doing basically the same thing in each sector. Like, maybe you can find something with a little bit of a kernel of strength or a story of its own. But then I look at that DAL, and that's a flat bottom break with a little bit more room to go. So I'm not really a huge fan of this. Like, I think just sort of keeping it simple. Like, Norwegian is a cruise line. Okay, well, not good news for them. And then on top of that, they report. So they lowered their full year. So you're going to have a poor day to be lowering your full year guidance. It's not going to matter that you might have beat on EPS. So I kind of like look for a continuation play and something that I think could be a little bit weaker here. So on the short pop, if it gets into like 23.5, which was a key price level, if it breaks higher than that, then okay, fine, fair enough. They're buying this one up. But I see a stock with a little bit of room if it wants to take another leg to the downside. Like just a couple of weeks ago, we were trading underneath 22 on Norwegian. They report it's not all roses. You have the entire space weaker today. Why not look at NCLH instead? So that's where my head's going to be with travel. And yeah, I'm not really going to be buying any dips in any travel names. Usually there's good opportunities. I just don't know about day one here.
Yeah, I would say, Royal Caribbean's I think, has been the best one. So you can, if you were trying to buy some weakness down 6% here today, obviously Norwegian came out with their report, so that would be a little spicy on that. But we were already heading down before, obviously, that report came out. It's not even like it's doing anything to these stocks. I would say it's still very early. I mean, President Trump was saying this could take 4 to 5 weeks, before everything settles down, right? And so I don't know if these ships are going to remain full, if there's going to be cancellations, what some of their bookings are going to look like moving forward, because a cruise ship is a pretty easy target. So I just say watch out now. I mean, obviously, if you're cruising around the Caribbean or something like that, you're probably a little safer. But you never know what's going to happen. And I just think people right now may be hunkering down a little bit. So I would a little worried about this. But I think if you can get a good stock that has been doing well, obviously those tensions have erupted over the last couple of weeks, so you do get some downside push there. And remember, the market's forward-looking, so it's not. They've already foreseen some of this stuff happening. It was just a matter of moments before I feel like that action in Iran was going to happen, right? I mean, President Trump was hinting at it all last week. So, I think down here, 250, 260 for these names are where you want to be in the travel space. And then, we always think about sort of secondary names like an Uber or something like that. Again, if business travel goes down, less bookings at hotels, less bookings on these airlines, could be bad for an American Express, obviously with the business customers. It could also be bad for an Uber as, less travel for now results in, less Ubers, right? When people are traveling around, they're taking Lyfts and Ubers and not renting cars. So I think that would be something to look at for sure. UBER right now heading southbound on that. So, it's just one of those things where you got to look at oil. Again, today we looked at that up pretty decently, and I still think goes higher, breaking through this $73 mark, up $8 right now. 8% is oil. So I have to watch out for this right here. This is CL is, what do we have it as here? Brent or light sweet crude?
Yeah, Brent's up at like 80.
Yeah, so watch out. Yeah, Brent is 79 or 80 or something. So there it goes, man. Nice move upside there today, and we'll have to wait to see if silver does anything as well. I'm looking to go long on all these. So I've got silver, Qs, IBIT right now, looking for another name to go in here. Big Bear AI reporting tonight. All these names are down. Yeah. Maybe Palantir would be
There's a few earnings names after. It's nothing big after the bell tonight, but there's some movers if we look at it. I'm just trying to double check. It was NCLH and Berkshire this morning. I think we have ASTS was one of them for sure. BBA Archer is reporting as well. Quantum Computing, QUBT, Plug Power. So there's some, I guess we'll call them like small cap movers after the bell tonight that we should be expecting, or mid cap as well. But in terms of energy, I was just kind of circling the wagon back over to Oxy. Didn't really make the note, but this was already, I kind of like things that were already making new breakouts or making new rallies in addition, instead of having to like chase something in the energy space. Like you already had Oxy, which was breaking after earnings, holding that 50, and now we're taking another gap higher. Let's look for maybe a little bit of gap support. Like back to 53 doesn't make too much sense, but maybe looking at this 55 spot could be one. So yeah, so there's going to be a lot to look at. I kind of like Oxy, but it's pretty far from that $55 mark. Maybe like look for a little bit of a dip buy or some VWAP play after the open. Plenty's going to be moving here. There's no question of that. So you got your pick and litter. Like it's a thing. Like in every sector that's affected, you're going to have multiple names up 5, 10%, like in that kind of a range. So it's not as if you're going to be lacking for movers. We got them all. Although I couldn't find a ton of small cappers. There's some small cap energy companies, Sharif, that are moving around. I feel like that's going to be a bit of a theme. Forget about the crazy yada, yada, yada pharma. It's going to be some small and micro cap energy names that are probably moving the most today.
Neil, the one that's gapping up the most, funny enough, right now on my morning scanner here, and this is as anemic as I've seen them. FRO, Brendo, 6 1/5 here, up 6.19%. This is the leading gapper on my scanner, and I'm not asking for much. It's not like I'm asking for a lot of volume or crazy prices. It just gives you an idea of what kind of light in terms of longs we have today.
Yeah, I mean, the market goes through these, cyclical, seasons almost, where small caps will have a huge push, and there'll be hundreds of them doing hundreds of percent on a daily basis. Then when bigger headlines come through, typically everything shifts focus. Obviously, I was just reading through this NVIDIA note. Speaking of. There's still NVIDIA-related headlines to deal with this morning as well. Obviously, more important things to concern ourselves with. Again, we'll keep an eye out for anything that can move the market in that way as well. Wall Street Journal reporting over the weekend, NVIDIA is developing a new inference-based computing platform to be unveiled at GTC. Includes a chip designed from startup Grok, which they recently acquired. Downside here this morning, obviously not going to affect anything this morning, but it seems more and more. I was just telling you off camera, I spent all weekend playing around with Perplexity Computer, which is their agentic-based platform.
So they're calling it Perplexity Computer?
Perplexity Computer. But it seems like this is the way all of these things are going. And now here's NVIDIA with some sort of platform that will, make decisions and be able to work on its own.
Yeah, coming in fast and furious. And Grok, that's the Chamath-related ASICs company. This was the acquisition that kind of didn't surprise any of us here when NVIDIA, the leader of GPUs, actually made an acquisition. Well, in this case, it was an investment to skirt, regulatory pressure. For a company that's specifically targeting application-specific integrated circuits, kind of like the Marvells, kind of like the Broadcoms. And we were saying, well, NVIDIA's margins are going to get eaten into, especially if there's cheaper chips for inferencing and training. Well, they were wise to that. Obviously, this is their business, and they made the acquisition for exactly that reason. So they have that hand in that cookie jar now, Brendo, in addition to the many other cookie jars that they have their hand in. Also, Morgan giving them the nod today. Actually, they removed Micron from their top pick and they replaced it with NVIDIA. So something to keep an eye out on there.
The one thing, or the one major takeaway I took from this, let alone all of the efficiencies that are going to come from this, was the simple fact that I don't think I really wrapped my head around the amount of compute that is going to be required once this is, at scale. People to date have been, for the most part, using AIs or LLMs as Google alternatives. You go ask it a question, you get an answer. Once you start, scheduling tasks to reoccur on an ongoing basis, and you get to a point where, say I have 10 or 15 or 20 myself, and then you multiply that out by everyone in the world, essentially, that you can see how compute is going to be just 100%. Massive.
And when you're running multiple agents, so what I was telling Joey was kind of like my understanding of this article that I was reading, 5 levels to AI so far, Brendo. So we got the basic LLM, then we have agents, singular agents, and then you have multi-agents. And that's kind of where we're going into now, where they coordinate the entire workflow process. So think of your morning, right? We get in here, how many different tools and utensils and tasks are you doing? And so these multi-agents are going to be able to coordinate with one another without your input. I feel that's where we're jumping into. And to build on your point, it's going to need a lot more compute.
Yeah. And or the other application for this is, you have one essentially that is your main go-to, and then it, communicates with all the smaller, job-specific type agents. Well, it's crazy. If you haven't done so yet, definitely go spend some time with that, because it's different world already, guys. It's unreal.
I just put in the chat, I can't think of one task right now for myself that I would, no, I mean, we can use it maybe for writing like basic stuff. Like I was thinking like LLMs, but for me, no, like my car heats up every morning. Is that a task? I don't really, no, for me, honestly, like I just live in a different world. Like what Brendan's saying, I don't even have time to even look at all this kind of stuff. So I have to do my job as well, for like what Brendan was saying, to think about what kind of tasks are actually, and maybe do you have any that you would use AI for right now?
There's a couple of, for the trading aspect of it, there's a few that are really
like what you would use now. Like what do you think? Because Brandon just said he has 15 or 20. Like I'm just thinking like
no, because I don't have any administrative stuff to do. But
Yeah.
like for my wife, when my wife was talking about a work problem that she had, and I said to her, I go, look, 80% of what you just said, you really just pick one,
Yeah.
and this can get handled, and it's not that difficult. Like you might need to get like a pro version,
Right.
But
that's what I'm saying. Like you and I you're not even using it over here.
if you have a more admin type job, you would. Like I'll use it occasionally for when it comes through going through like more complicated like articles I just don't want to have to deal with. If I want to figure out the nuts,
like Cole's notes.
yeah, or if I want the nuts and bolts of like a deal and like this deal doesn't make any sense to me, can you just help me to figure out like the fair value, like that ticket, like little things like that.
So not day to day. This is what I'm wondering. Like not day to day action.
That's almost day to day, but it's not the same if you don't have an administrative type of job. But if you're sitting there in a white collar job, where you're parsing through a bunch of different emails and you've got this process and whatever and this and this task and this project that you're working on, my goodness, the level of efficiency you can get is insane. But I think the bigger takeaway from all of this, when Bren talks about the compute, is you buy the dips on the energy names that are going to power all of this. Like it makes me like G Vernova even more, right? Sure, it should help you. It should make you like NVIDIA, but power is everything here. Like it's the one thing that was in short demand before and in crazier demand now. And really, if we're just coming right back to it just for NVIDIA, because I know we're supposed to be talking about them, on any other day, I'd actually be looking for a bounce on NVIDIA, to be honest. Like A, based on the story, B, it's a couple of days after the earnings, you're at the 200 period. It's actually it's basically with the Nasdaq, so we're not even down more than the Nasdaq. There's a lot about it that could look for that little bounce spot. I know we said last week looking at the 170 to 175 would be the spot. It's in that target area now. It's just that everything looks so relatively bearish. But I do think this is right in the area where NVIDIA could get a bounce. But look at the power plays. If G Vernova can get to the downside on this news, I would have been
some of them are starting to go.
I think that could be a nice one to play. Constellation had a good week last week. It was starting to rally. Maybe you get a bit of a dip and a chance to get into some of those. So we'll see.
Anyways, are we getting ready? Are we going to Joe?
Oh.
We're not going to Joe yet, are we?
Oh, we have Michael already.
Nauss, okay.
Okay.
All right, it's 8:30. Let's go over to Michael and see what he's talking about. Good morning, Michael.
Yeah, we were just talking about vibe coding. There's so much to learn. Let's bring him in. Michael Nauss is here on a Monday to talk about higher time frame type stuff. We've been stuck in this range as we've been discussing for the past, feels like months and months and months and months. What are you seeing here as far as the market is concerned, given what has obviously taken place on the weekend?
Yeah, I think, with all the news going on, it's a good time to zoom out. It's funny, my AI, my Claude code, helped me generate all of these charts. So I was listening to the conversation you guys are having. I have 3 agents going on my computer at all times. So yeah, it was a really cool conversation. I enjoyed listening to it. But it's time for monthly charts, right? We're at the first of the month. There's a lot of crazy news going on. And one thing that I always recommend, regardless whether you're day trader, swing trader, investor, whatever it is take a second and zoom out and actually just take a second and go, okay, what actually happened last month? Because we're so focused on the day-to-day and the minute-to-minute that this kind of zoom out exercise, I think is really good. So the first one I just want to look at it, this is just the S&P 500. We're really zoomed in here over the last couple months. So each of these candles represents 1 month. And, like Brendan was saying, I just wanted to say that we haven't gone anywhere since the October candle. We're basically at that price right now. But the format of the candles are interesting here, in which there are a lot of spinning tops. And for those who study candlestick, just means there's a long upper shadow and a long lower shadow, and the body hasn't gone anywhere. And what that represents generally is just confusion in the market or indecision, where they don't really know what's going on. And, you can kind of feel that with some sectors going up and some going down. We've talked about the rotation under the hood and how pretty much everything's going up except the Mag 7. But this chart, again, was very interesting to me. Now, if you want to take a bet on where this is going to resolve, it's going to be generally with the primary trend, which is still up, even though it's been nearly half a year of nothing. Next chart here is just more of the same with QQQ. A little bit more pronounced on this next chart, where you can see we're more closer to the low of that October-November candle. And But, you know, if you were to look at this and say this is a 5-minute chart, you'd look at that and say that's a pretty interesting bull flag. Maybe I should pay attention and wait to see if we break this upper bounds. It looks nice to me, as long as we don't break down. And the beauty of these kind of technical patterns, after you have to wait 6 months for them to develop, is you get a pretty clear game plan here. If we can break out of this flag, then, you know, maybe it's time for this big cap tech to catch up. And if we break under these lows that I've highlighted around the 600 area, well, maybe we're going to pull back into that 520 or so that we broke out of last year. Next chart here is the IWM. So this is small caps. And this is where we start talking about the rotation that we're seeing under the hood. Small caps, new all-time monthly closing high last month. So 2,000 of the smallest stocks have never closed higher in the month. Some topping tails, maybe some concern there, but a decently strong month. Not a huge candle, but a decently strong month there. This next chart is wild to me, and this is the RSP. So we talk about this all the time. The average large cap stock out there. And we've been, you know, every week talking about how the strength under the hood in this market is absolutely crazy. And I think this chart demonstrates that really well. That's why I went through all these other ones. Even the IWM was up a bit, but not very much. The rest of them were about flat. And then look at this monthly candle on the RSP. So again, this is the same names that are in the S&P 500. And they're just equally weighted. So it takes away the power of NVIDIA and Apple and Meta and all these kind of names, just showing, and again, incredibly strong for large cap names, as long as you're outside the tech space. Some of the sectors that are interesting to me. So this next one is XLV, or healthcare, with a nice strong candle, not quite break all-time closing high, but didn't quite break last month's high, but a really strong candle from the beginning of the month to the end. So they've been buying up healthcare all month. And if you kind of look left here, there's a bit of resistance. So a healthcare breakout and continuation could be very interesting. And then this next chart here is XLF. Bad, not a great month for financials, but we're still holding this range. Even more chop for the financials. We're now kind of in 1 year of financials not doing anything. Financials can be a little bit weird because they pay good dividends. So there can be some... even though if this was a total return chart, it would look better, I guess is the best way to put it, right? We're not looking at the dividends in this, and a lot of these financial companies don't really grow, but they do pay dividends. Last sector, and 2 more sector charts. So next one here is XLI. This is the one, you know, Neil just said power, right? These are the guys who are going to build the data centers for everything, and look how strong this has been. I think this chart shows why the RSP has been so strong, because a lot of these companies are large companies, these industrial companies. And also, when we've talked a lot about international performance, I think this chart shows as well, right? You're talking, you know, we went from the people who are making the chips and the people who are making the AI, and now we are focused on this particular sector, which is the people who are building the data centers and the infrastructure for all of these things. Last sector chart, and I've got one idea to give from this, but is XLB. So this is materials. So this is going to feed that first chart. So these are not necessarily your precious metals, but they're materials like copper and lumber and steel and things like that, with a crazy month last month. Look at the size of that candle and relative to what's happened over the last 5 years or so. That was a really big breakout in materials. Now, one chart that really stood out when I was going through, you know, we talked about how the Mag 7 was relatively weak, but it seems like it might be Apple that's kind of interesting again. So this is the chart I brought. This is the only individual stock chart that I have here on Apple. This kind of 250 area that we had a nice breakout of, pulled back, and we're holding that 250 area here on the last chart on Apple. And if this holds, this might be the one Mag 7 that kind of bucks the trend of the rest of them. It's holding on way better than your NVIDIAs and Microsofts and Metas. They've kind of sidestepped the AI thing, which was a benefit to them, or was a detriment. Everyone's saying, oh no, they're going to be doomed without AI. And I think kind of what they said is, well, you're going to use our devices to do this anyway. Mac Minis just flying off the shelves, and yet they don't have an AI to speak of. So Apple, again, if it can hold 250, I kind of like that for the investment portfolio. Again, we're talking monthly charts, so these aren't going to be short-term trades. So that's, again, going around the horn. It looks good out there if you're not large cap tech.
Great information, Michael. Good to see you again. Good morning. I got a quick question for you. I was actually doing a little bit of reading on the weekend, and I was reading this interesting article about, you know, the actual cap-weighted, let's just say Qs in this case, or the Nasdaq, and you would look see how the cap weighted did versus the non-cap weighted, the RSP, and you would compare the amount of advancers and decliners. And you, for days, for example, where the Qs were down, let's just say 0.25%, but there was markedly more advancers and decliners. Is that something that you keep your eye on? Because I know you're very RSP heavy. Is that another metric that you keep your eye on?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't bring this chart, but it's actually a really good one to look at. There's the QQQE, and that's the equal weighted version of the QQQs. And that made an all-time monthly closing high, just barely, but was strong. So even inside the tech sector, which was relatively weak, it did okay. And if you look at even a daily chart on that, the day that NVIDIA had that really, they gapped up on earnings and then they sold off all day and had a really bad day, it closed positive that day. So it's very much showing that the selling, I guess, or the bear market that's out there is very targeted. And I think that's doing something to sentiment, where this is what a lot of people own. A lot of people own the S&P 500, they own the Mag 7, they own all these things. So seeing them in such a drawdown makes them feel that the market's down. But again, yeah, these equal weight versus cap weight is very interesting. And it goes into this whole kind of meta discussion I won't waste a lot of you guys' time with, but we look at the cap weighted index because it's been a wicked way to invest over the last 20 some odd years. You give more credence, you give more weight to the largest companies out there, and it generally does well. But doesn't mean it always has to be that way. So that's had me a lot of thinking of maybe we're in this zone now where the smaller companies are going to kind of take the reins, and the only way to benefit of that is going to be equal cap or individual stock picking.
All right, great stuff as always, Michael Nauss. Looking at what we just covered, is there something that, or some area essentially that you would go to first here? And if so, what do you need to see from that to have a green light?
I'm really liking the XLV buyout or breakout that's coming, healthcare. Healthcare is one of those weird sectors where you have things like UNH that have been under pressure for a long time, and then you have names like Eli Lilly that have been outperforming. So you've got drug makers, and then you have the insurance company that kind of trumps that war with right now. But the fact that we are doing this breakout just makes me think that maybe now that the narrative has shifted away from the war on healthcare to what we're seeing elsewhere, that maybe this is going to be a quiet sector to go up because there's no real news to talk about in the healthcare space. I don't think there's any budget stuff that's coming up, but it's the place that no one's looking, but it's quietly very, very close to this breakout. So if we can get some continuation over the next week or so, I'll be trying to look for some healthcare names to buy into.
Fantastic. Have a wonderful week. We'll touch base again on Friday.
Talk to you Friday. Have a great one.
Once again, fantastic stuff by Mr. Michael Nauss. All right, guys, let's take a look at some of the analyst actions here this morning. We're going to kick things off with OKT. Okta, we're down 1.5% here roughly, but getting its price target lowered from $116 to $90 by BTIG Research. And then we have SoundHound also getting the price target lowered, guys. It's down 6.8% here. $26 was that initial target, but it's now being lowered to $20 by H.C. Wainwright. Pinterest also getting the downgrade, guys, going from a buy to a hold, and then Autodesk as well, getting its price target lowered from $343 to $279. Moving forward, we'll take a look at some of the upgrades. We're going to start things off with Dutch Bros going from a neutral to a buy with $75 price target by Goldman Sachs. And then CrowdStrike also getting the nod by Piper Sandler, guys, going from a neutral to an overweight. You're up about 0.25%. And then we have some of the oil names here, guys. Occidental Petroleum, 6.9% with the price target being raised from $48 to $60. And then we also have Chevron as well, too, guys. Price target increased from $188 to $206. Both very positive here this morning.
Yeah, positive to say the least, though. You know what? What's interesting on that downgrade list, and this is not to punk pins or anything, but it's almost like the bounce that it had after earnings. I know they got a downgrade today. It gave it some room to fall. Because my first thought was, oh, Pinterest, it's probably getting smoked. But then it's like, oh, yeah, they reported, and then they bounced for a few days because it had made some fresh lows. Well, all of a sudden in the market weakness, you reached a post-earnings high at $18, and now you're slithering back down to where some might say they belong to, excuse me, like filled in the gap back to about 18. And this could be a bit of a flat, I'm not saying it flat bottom breaks right away, but the trend was down before they reported. They caught a dead cat bounce after earnings, and now the weakness could start to come back in for pins. So like names like this, where you're looking for continuation, can be part of the story as well. No surprise that you get some upgrades on some oil names. Man, Chevron is, like, it's just gone at this point. That's why I've been looking at Oxy. Like, what do you do? Like, this is broken so far away from the highs now. Like, there's really pull back into prior high. That's not even available to you. No big levels to look at because we're just flying in this particular energy name. You bought that dip after Venezuela and bye-bye. Now up like 30% from that low.
Yeah, that's been huge. I'm just in XLE, which is all of them, so that's been okay. That's been a good experience there. I really have been touting this XLV and XBI for a long time, so I'm really glad that Michael's looking at this as a breakout long. I mean, I love the healthcare space and anything. This is biotech, but I really enjoy XLV, XBI, IBB. IBB is the right one. Here's XBI right here. This is more the biotech space. This is the one that I prefer over XLV, which is the healthcare, but this is pulled back. So I even like this better. Although we always say, buying the strong names that are actually breaking out in this market has made a lot of sense. Anything that sort of had that shift has really turned out well. Like we had silver breaking, gold breaking, obviously IBIT breaking down, Bitcoin breaking down. We had XLI breaking long, we had XLE breaking. I mean, there's been so many good names that are starting to go, and you get the 50 period right now on XBI wavering around, Eli Lilly and AbbVie and Merck and all those stocks, Pfizer. So I like this space. I think AI really helps this space. And as to Brendan's point again, like this is just another one where I think processes and everything running in the background, like the amount of compute that even an Eli Lilly could wind up taking at some point could be quite large, right? And so a lot of different tasks being had right now with AI, and I think that XBI and IBB, I mean, either one, they're just different managers. IBB was iShares, I believe, yeah, iShares. So, just a different management team. You can go check the percentages. I assume they're going to be pretty similar on what the holdings are and the management fees and whatnot. But I really, really like this space, and I think it's one that needs to start to finally break out. I mean, it just hasn't done it yet. So XLI is amazing. That's the industrials. That's been the one that, again, just from ETF side of things, right? I mean, it's just been so good. All of these names. And there it is right here. Even we said a couple weeks ago, someone said, like, is there something that sort of looks like this and is barcoding a little bit and looking to break out, like right here, a nice little flag pull, have a little bit of a flag forming. It needs some more data, but that should be an interesting move up here as well, trying to break out. So yeah, lots of names, man. You even mentioned that INDO, another crazy runner here, Indonesia. Energy Corp or whatever this is. This is up 50%.
I'd be careful with those because this is just one of those like small cap energy names that is like it's small flow, like it's squeezing. It's done this in the past. I'd just be a little. I mean, come on, like does it? Like what about this deserves 40% to the upside? Like I don't think that's necessarily going to be a thing. But Indo again, it's a habitual line stepper, and we talk about this all the time. But energy names are in play, and when energy names are in play, this bad boy is going to be in there for sure. I'm just going to double check, because I said low float and all that stuff, and I didn't actually look up the details for you guys. So INDO, which is Indonesia, yeah, 9 million float, 8% short. So it's actually not even that big of a short float on this thing. So yeah, I get it. You guys, Indo, gonna get that Indo. And that good. But this should be on radars as long as oil stays volatile, energy stays volatile, then you're gonna get some small cappers that from this space, which are gonna be flying around. But it's already under VWAP. I'm actually considering, they should pay for locates on this. And I say that after assuming that we don't have them. We don't. I might pay for locates on this. This is exactly the kind of name which you feel like could just be going too far and might be a bit of a play. So I'm gonna do that. If we hold underneath VWAP, this might be a little something here. So yeah, lots of small cappers to look at. Shout out to Michael for coming on through. It's the beginning of the month, which obviously means that you get those monthly charts to look at, which I know he's a big fan of. And that's the great thing about it, is like if you're a swing trader, maybe that means more to you. As a day trader, it gives you some interesting sectors to look at that you might not before. And we might find some individual names in healthcare that can be good, and energy as well. But yeah, for brass tacks, there's some small cappers that look pretty interesting, including this INDO Sharif.
All right, we mentioned this off the top, but I think it's worth talking a little bit about Berkshire once again, because this is a stark shift in not only the narrative, but I think some of the data and the actual money that is being thrown around and where it's going to go. You know, he comes out and essentially says they're signaling this fortress around their balance sheet in some of these maneuvers and things that they're doing. I mean, that's a daily chart of Berkshire as of today. I mean, you got to go all the way back to essentially the end of last summer before we had any sort of significant move. Yes, the announcement had come and gone already, but is this the right way, to be going about doing this?
It's a great point, because they've got like this dry powder. They're calling it $370 billion in cash, Brendo, and they've been selling. We know they've been selling Amazon, Bank of America, Apple, and so he's compiled the stockpile. I'm assuming for what he wants to do with Berkshire going forward, rather than what had been done under the previous, obviously, let's just call them two leaders, Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett. Of course, now he's at the helm. And so, the $370 billion in cash fueling debate over whether the company has been overly conservative in seeking out new opportunities. He framed, though, Brendo, the cash as strategic dry powder, enabling swift action during dislocations. What better time there is now? A lot of stuff on sale. Tech's been hit. You have a lot of moving down now with the belligerencies in the Middle East. I want to see exactly how we look next year, right? Because he just took over, 2 months deep into his tenure. It's his first shareholder letter. So not really too much to comment on other than that huge cash pile.
Yeah, I mean, still huge positions in the financials and BAC. BAC obviously not having a good couple of days here, but the energy name is going to be important for them. They've been pairing off this Apple position for, it seems like, the past year and a half or so. But as you said, I mean, at some point they got to put their money somewhere.
$370 billion. Well, he does deploy it obviously in treasuries, and we know. Joseph, if you remember, what was it, 5% that he holds of the treasury market? Was it 5%? It's something ridiculous like that, Brendo, that Berkshire owns about 5% of the outstanding of the U.S. treasuries, of course. It's something ridiculous, and that's, I'm assuming, where the cash is. It's not sitting in a bank account.
Yeah, if you zoom out, I mean, we're right back to, this is a weekly chart on BAC to start here. We're right back to this high, which is $48, which goes all the way back to 2021. So a couple of weeks straight to the downside. If you go back to BRK.B on the weekly chart, we're still just kind of hanging out in this consolidation. I mean, it looks very much like the market at this point, guys, the S&P as it should.
Yeah, well, it'll get interesting on Berkshire when, if they deploy some cash, like maybe they'll find a financial that they like, maybe there'll be a bank that they like. But I'm just looking at that XLF, and that's yet another theme that I feel like it's easy to forget what was going on. Last week we were talking about how weak some of the financials were. You were getting this potential break of support that was happening in the big bank names. I mean, one of the biggest names down actually in my quote board is Affirm this morning and not looking very good. There was the PayPal deal rumors. There was the big move on Block. But overall, as a group, we're right back underneath 51 on the XLF, which was a major support. We bounced once, but if we lose this $50 level here, then all of a sudden you've got the financials, which are consolidating under the 200 and breaking support. So that was a pretty big bounce zone. And this is exactly the kind of, canary in the coal mine. You had some private credit concerns out there. You're starting to wobble. If we lose that this week on the XLF, you start to think about, okay, well, forget about that nice bounce we just had. Some of the banks had some shocking down days in the last couple of weeks, and maybe we could see a little bit more of that. So the XLF is going to be on the radar just for that 50 spot alone. And unfortunately, I can't bring up the banks without pointing out an incredibly disappointing name recently, which is SoFi. Again, another one it'll get lost because we're going to be talking so much about Iran and energy and, thank you, Andy, another refill on coffee. We're going to forget about things like SoFi, one of the worst stocks on Friday. And
Yeah.
we haven't even mentioned it up until now in the context of a Berkshire story. But these guys got absolutely smoked on Friday. There was almost no bottom until right at the end of the day. So
Never forget.
I'm almost like reminding myself, shoot, I should be looking for continuation on this as well. Maybe I should like this as much as the QBTS. Yeah, so the financials didn't look good before this weekend.
No.
Let's keep that in mind.
The only problem with Berkshire is they're not paying a dividend. Like, there's no dividend.
Nah.
So it's like...
And they said they won't.
Yeah, like I own the stock, and it's just like there's not really a point in buying it because, although, you know, I mean, you're paying for someone else to manage it, so it's like a managed portfolio. I get it. It's a big-ass ETF.
Basically, yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like you can own an XLE and get 2.5%. You can own an XLF and get, like, I think it's 2% or so. Like, so if you're trying to own a dividend, trying to own a portfolio that's going to be relatively conservative, like Berkshire, which has been good, right? I mean, it's not going to tank during a huge Nasdaq move or anything like that. And it should be appreciating more than this with oil. So we'll see today what winds up happening. But again, I really like the stock. I think there's some value in owning it, but just the no dividend thing really bugs me and makes me realize that maybe it's not worth, you know, sitting in that for too long. And you already talked about XLF and how much beat up that's been. So we'll get that figured out. But at the end of the day, I mean, shout out to Greg Abel. This guy's Canadian, so hopefully he'll be able to get that all figured out. But if you're just going to buy banks, and we did look at, people always want to buy, and for me too, like the most recent bank I bought was SoFi, and that was at $22, so it's well underwater now. But, you know, I always go back to who I consider like the king, and that would be JP Morgan, the largest money center bank in the world. If this fails, then yeah, we're going to have not the stock fail, not the company failing, but the stock failing here underneath this 200 period moving average. It's going to bring down a whole bunch of names with it. So I would just think about Jamie Dimon here. There's already a succession plan for him, and I know there's a little bit of worry about when he steps away, what does that mean and where does it go? But I really like JP Morgan down here near the 200 period. The last time I actually bought this name was when we were down here near the 200 period, and this is kind of where I'm in at. Then we had this move down and broke through, and this is where I was really scared when it broke through that level, and then now we're right back to the upside. So a 200 period moving average on a JP Morgan has been real well. And if you do think that, you know, IPOs and all that are going to be coming back, I mean, Goldman Sachs look up a yearly chart or something like that. This name doesn't fail either. You know, you want to talk about having connections on Wall Street and everything like that. Like, you know, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, these are going to be the bigger names, much bigger than a SoFi as far as safety is concerned. So if you're running to a bank right now, I would choose JP Morgan and Goldman. Morgan Stanley not too far behind. And then the play for the future, which is why I like this name. I like SoFi. I still like it. I still think there's an opportunity here to get going with SoFi. I was watching, whenever you watch something on American channels, pretty much every commercial is like about an app, Chime or SoFi or Vero or Carvana or anything like that. So, you know, there's just a lot of pressure right now under a lot of these sort of software names that have just come to light. They're spending a lot of money on advertising, and the market's just hitting them to the downside pretty aggressively right now. So I think they'll be back, and I think they are gaining market share. You can put those up. You can just put them up whenever, man. I'm just rambling. We do have our watches to go through as well. Robinhood, watch out for that $70 break. That's another one. Okay, DOP, 1,000 DOPs.
Okay, from a Jedi.
No idea what a DOP is.
Okay. The force be with you.
Go ahead, read it. Yeah, what is it?
Regarding Bitcoin, do you think we're near a bottom, or JW, or must wait 1 or 2 months? Do you think 40 or 50K possible bottom? Thank you. Well, I mean, 50. When you look at the long-term chart here, like a daily chart. Here we go. I don't like that one. It's a monthly. Let's go to a week. There we go. A week looks a little bit better, because then you can sort of see, like, since we broke down, we haven't had a positive week on Bitcoin. So if you haven't had a positive week, then resume trend and next support at $50. I mean, unless we show some kind of a bounce zone, like we're holding 60,000, but we haven't really had, like I said, we haven't had that positive week yet to even signal that you could possibly be turning ultimately. And 40, I don't know, 40 is just, I guess, pointing to here. We had some consolidation in 2024 there. But no, I'd be thinking that 50 is support until we break this trend. again, you got to at least put up some kind of a fight, and we haven't done too much. On the rail with the super chat, appreciate you for the $2 there. So are we doing the obvious long oil for a while? I mean, you could look at some energy names that you think that look pretty strong. Like Oxy's been on a bit of a breakout. There's a limit to how much oil prices will go up. Like there's a few things. Like, some of this is we're expecting the conflict. You don't know how long it's going to last. You don't know because the bigger story becomes when they run out of storage capacity in Iran, right? Like if they're because obviously they're going to be shipping a little bit less, and there's supply concerns. That really only takes the next step up if they start running out of storage capacity and have to start producing less in general. Like that is when I think you'd get like $100 oil, and I don't think we'd have any sign of that for weeks, if not longer. So I mean, first things first, you could have a little bit of a settle down. You can like the direction better, but I'm not really thinking that whole like $100 until a few things have to break the wrong way before you start thinking about like another like massive surge. And it's just too early to tell. Like who knows? But that's why you trend it that way, and that's why you have a little bit of risk off, and why we'd expect some continuation in that regard, because there's a huge question mark for the next few days and weeks.
Yeah, no, I think it's too hard to. I mean, I'm looking. The sticky note's now out right now, and I was just looking at IBIT, and here's the note. People asking in the chat if it's out already. I have IBIT written down as a short. It's already broken the level, unfortunately. 37. I was using the exact price of 37.30 there. I was just like, you know what, man? I just don't believe in the power of Bitcoin right now in this market. I mean, it hasn't held up. Market's going lower. I mean, that would have been, I just wish the market was open, because I was all about ready to short that, man. We have short the futures, we have short Bitcoin, we have long silver, we have short Amazon on the note, and there it was right there. I was looking for it to break that level, it broke it, and there it goes to the downside. So for me, there's 37.30. That's what we were talking about. It breaks it, it goes to the downside. Now we're gonna look to see if we can break 37 and go short. So I am very excited to be shorting on IBIT right here. And honestly, if this problem does take, 3, 4, 5 weeks to sort out, I don't like the way the Nasdaq's going to go here, and I just feel like Bitcoin is sort of following right now what the broader tech market is doing. So for me, it's a short, and we'll just continue to do that. It's on the note today. I'm not sure. This market could easily go the other way. I mean, most of the time. Oh, Apple discussing hosting their cloud and everything, or figuring out Siri with Google. There, I heard something. So we'll see if there's any sort of a reaction here to Google or to Apple right now. But I think we already knew about all that. There it is. They're right here. So it's in the. I can
hosting new Siri.
Yeah. So hosting the new Siri there. Here it is. Here, I'll put this up. Send selected. The newsreader is now working. Okay, that's a 17E. That's a different story.
Oh, that's a different story.
Okay, so here it is right here. Apple introduces 17E. Oh, that's what's hitting right now. All right, so I don't have the story. It's also going to be including, here it is right here, starting at $599, 256 gigabytes of storage will be offered, available March 1st, available March 4th, sorry. And that's the story there. But there was something about Google that I heard.
No, there is. It's Apple discusses Google hosting new Siri as need for cloud help grows. That's from the information. So there's a couple of headlines out there for Apple. It's not really moving on the headline, but it's actually worth noting that Apple is stronger than the overall market by, a hair. Like it's only down 0.9% into like the Nasdaq, which is 1.5. So, that's going to be on the radar. Also, all the names on our free watch list will be on the radar. And Sharif's note, which I think we're going to start off right about now.
Yes, Neil, we're going to look at the SPY first, though. 686, guys. That's where we closed out on Friday. We are well below that now, obviously, with what's happened on the weekend. We lost 680 as well. 678.25 is where we're trading at, Brendo. But when we have a look at the lower end of the range that we've been stuck in, we're still above, those February 5th lows. We're still holding those, February 17th areas. So what we're going to say is we're going to say 680 as our first level of resistance if we catch a bid for whatever reason. If we start selling off, we're looking to the February 5th low as our first level of support, Brendo. We're looking at 674, 673.
If you haven't done so yet, make sure you grab the absolutely free watch list. As mentioned, link is below. Top link in the description now is actually the Academy. So second link in the description will get you to the watch list sign up. But also go check out the Academy if you haven't done so yet. Week number 2, well underway over at the Academy. Let's talk about some of these energy stocks, and a huge move to the upside, as we said, better part of 9% for oil futures when the market got going early on this morning. All of these, pick one, they're all going to look the same. XOM here did fade off that early high, but all of these getting a nice pop.
All of them, Brendo. And then there's one reason, and one reason only, of course, as we know, the war or the belligerencies in the Middle East, and more specifically, the Strait of Hormuz. Guys, 13 to 15 million barrels per day, which is roughly 20% of the global supply, will flow through the Strait of Hormuz. Energy aspects, Emery said this morning expects oil likely to hang around $80 a pop. I'm talking about Brent, of course. Full closure of the strait is seen unlikely because of the U.S. planning. The bigger risk is sporadic vessel attacks. That's what we have to worry about there, which could, pump the price of oil more. I do believe there have been attacks sporadically against vessels. 3 tankers were hit over the weekend. Asian refiners, most specifically, are the most exposed to Middle Eastern risk supply. There are alternative routes. They can go through Oman and UAE pipelines, but you can put way less through those pipelines. Saudi Arabia can reroute it through its east-west pipeline via the Red Sea. But really, the Strait of Hormuz really does count for a lot of what we're seeing here this morning.
We'll have to pay attention, I think, mostly to the futures, maybe to see direction here, guys. Right now, there's not much. We are fading off a little bit, but kind of back and forth so far.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Oxy in particular. There's a couple of people that have asked about why Tilray is halted. So Tilray is halted because they're nearing a $40 million deal for most of the assets of BrewDog. So BrewDog's assets. So the story's out. It's just the stock is currently halted on Tilray, if you happen to be curious. Not halted is Oxy. It's up 7% here. And the good news for them is they were already on a breakout. I mean, all energy stocks were on a breakout, but this was a post-earnings break, and we talked about this consolidation that it was in. I mean, unfortunately, you don't get this breakout high because we gap over the weekend above it. That said, there's this 55 spot. Like 55 change, let's just call it. It was a prior support. It was a bit of a lower high resistance. I think that provides a bit of a decent dip. We're breaking through VWAP as we speak. So as the market, every time the market catches a bit of a bounce, the energy names are going counter. So if we get a bounce in the Nasdaq early, then I think you start to see a pullback in some of the energy names. And down around that 55 would be that line in the sand on any kind of a dip today for Occidental. So that's the energy name I'm looking at. Although I did pay for locates on this Indonesian energy stock. Like this slow float up 40% in sympathy type play tends to do this on massive spikes. And sometimes it'll have some continuation. But if this doesn't hold VWAP, and immediately shows you that it can't hold VWAP, there could be some continuation short on it. But I wouldn't touch this unless it's failing VWAP after the open. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of energy names in play, including some small cap names that you're going to be able to sink your teeth into for sure.
Yeah, we're looking at Oppo of small cap right now. We're looking at the biggest of big caps with XLE. And I mean, this breakout happened a while ago. This is a weekly chart, so we're actually long on this breakout near 50. Nice to see it today up at $58. But that's just what it looks like on the weekly chart, so I just wanted to bring that to your attention, that the breakout has sort of already happened on this name. And this is, again, holding, it's like major ETF, CVX, that's Chevron, and XOM, and all of the Marathon, they're all in this as a certain percentage. So for me, as Brendan said, it's not really doing a whole heck of a lot here in the pre-market. So instead of focusing on one name, what about if we just all drop in right into here, into 57.50, and then we start to look at that as a potential long. I mean, obviously it's blue skies, right? It's clear sailing to the upside. We're in new territory. We haven't been here on the XLE before. So it's a nice move up into $58. A pullback in, that's your 200 periods 57. If we get that would be great. I mean, I don't think we have to empty out our clip if we get 57.40s immediately. But I think that's a good spot to sort of start it. And there's no way oil goes red today, right? So that would be $56. And I say that kind of like tongue in cheek. I'm not sure what things are going to happen today, but at the end of the day, it would make sense if oil stays relatively strong until we get a little bit more confirmation on, is there going to be talks between, you know, the new regime in Iran and President Trump? Is that just sort of all window dressing and the attacks are going to continue? As there's been 4 U.S. deaths now, and President Trump has sort of vowed to make that right. And I don't even know what that means, but I heard on the way in on Bloomberg Radio, he wasn't not too pleased. And I think there was even some friendly fire stuff happening. So I'm not even sure what to report on anymore. So I'm not going to do it. But, you know, $58 there, really strong hold for XLE today. But I think it's just kind of like wool over your eyes a little bit here. This is going to move. And I would say get ready for it to break that 58.40 top here if oil really starts to run. And, you know, we're going to have our ears to the ground. Daryl will be here around 10:30 today, dropping some of the news stories in for us. Brendan and all of us will be here dropping news as we get it. So if you're looking for oil stories, you're going to be in the right space, man. Anything that happens, we'll be trading it live. And I'm going to flip over to the XLE and start to trade that. But 57.50 or so, right into here. If we can fall into the 200 period, I'll take it. But that's what I'm looking at, XLE, and then Neil just mentioned Tilray. We're just hearing that's been halted as well. And then I just think XOM is already off to the races. But what a great stock, man. Up 4% again today, still going higher. And there, see, it's all the same thing. If we drop into the 200 period, then you're going to have a buy. So I'm just going to choose XLE. I think it's safer. There's no single stock risk in that. But that's what I'm going to be doing right here for today's energy trade.
All right, let's move on to the other group that is benefiting, unfortunately, from this news over the weekend. That's all of the defense stocks. This is Lockheed Martin, obviously. There's numerous to look at this morning. Yep. We will touch on Palantir coming up next, but to start things off, the typical ones that you see rallying in these cases are today.
I mean, it stands to reason these would have a great day, and they are. Global defense stocks rallying, of course, as we see the U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran intensifying over the weekend. President Trump, as Sean mentioned, indicated that this could last 3 to 4 weeks. So I'm going to be keeping a close eye on the suppliers of ammunition. A lot has been made about the United States not having enough supply because they really haven't been building or producing as much weaponry as in the past. So we'll have to see if that becomes an issue. But you're already seeing marked moves here, Brendo. Lockheed Martin up 7.5 at the highs. Northrop Grumman up over 6% of the highs. Raytheon and a bunch of others. So definitely something to keep an eye on there.
All right. Coming back downside in a hurry. However, right now, guys, is there a trade here today?
Well, some of those names aren't as liquid as you think. Like Northrop is probably not. It's been $700 stock that does what 25,000 in volume right now. Like that's pretty nonsensical. You're going to have Lockheed, which is 200,000 in volume, going absolutely sideways again, a $700 stock. Even if you look at like a smaller drone name like AVAV is on 160,000 in volume, even though it's up 11%. These are relatively low volume, and you want to see them maybe get to the open for a little bit of liquidity. Like AVAV is at least interesting because it's not breaking through highs. Like this is one of those like runner plays which had pulled back so significantly. Already had gone from 240 to 400, and it's now trying to hold that 50-period moving average. So it's a potential breakout. But on that light volume, like energy, all the energy names have extra volume. Well, I'm looking at the cruise lines or the travel names. There's extra volume as well, and they look more tradable. But I'm not seeing, unless you look for a small cap, some of the bigger names do not have a ton of pre-market volume to sink your teeth into. This would at least be one where you see the open come in, we hold at 50, there's a potential breakout, but it's not going to make the list. I think the name that's next on the list has a couple of positive stories, being a defense name, and then one of its own that we'll get to. But individually, I think this is more of like a trend trade theme than it's going to be a day trade here today in some of the defense names. Some have been rallying. I think you can find a few that have pulled back, which get you a secondary break like AVAV.
Yeah, exactly. I like that one. AVAV, a pick of yours. So obviously you've done some work on that. I like it. And a pick of mine that's been a life changer has been PLTR. And, you know, this name just continues to appreciate in these times. And I, you know, unfortunately, it's been called, you know, one of those like sort of those war stocks with the Department of War, and we did have a little bit of controversy there over the weekend with OpenAI and Anthropic, and you know the president coming out and making sure that you know those large language models and those you know just like those bots or whatever they're going to be using for all that sensitivity has been approved by the government or not in the case of Anthropic. And, you know, we saw that sort of jump up there on the right before we closed out the day on Friday. That was a nice move to the high side. And I think Palantir can continue today, but I'm pretty negative on the market, as I said. So I don't even really want to buy any dips in defense stocks today. I think the whole market falls down. If you're going to get defensive, okay, we have metals near the end, so I'll save it for that. Oil's coming right back in here. So I think if you want to get defensive and play a name, we talked about oil strength on dips. I think the same thing is true for silver. I wrote down silver here to go long in around this $85 mark, which was the pre-market lows at that time and where we closed on Friday. This is all on the note. That has obviously gone by the wayside now. I was not expecting silver and gold. I mean, I'm going to assume gold's going as well. Actually, gold's not even that bad. Gold's fine. But yeah, why silver just turned red there? Interesting, right? And so we'll have to see as this name falling right back into those levels. And as we talk about defense stocks, let's just look at the US dollar here really quickly with the DXY. So here it is. This is a 3-minute chart. Let me go a little longer than that. Let's go into a 30-minute chart. So there it is. So the trend, that's what I was trying to show you, as we've broken out and through. So there goes basically all of February right here. We've taken that all out as, you know, more worries come to the market. Therefore, you know, strength in US dollar going to start getting back up to the upside as whenever there's, you know, sort of global strife, we do know that as a currency, the US dollar tends to be the flight to safety. Obviously, if you're looking at Swiss francs, then you can count your money in your bank, or whatever that line is from Swiss francs there.
Before I die, I need my money in a Swiss bank.
Right, before I die, watch.
Although it's not the same anymore. I think it's
not, yeah, no, I don't
what
think
it used to be.
That song's probably 20 years old if you look it up. All right, 98.50 right there, US dollar strength today. You know, could be buying dips in US dollar as well if you're looking for a defensive play.
We were just reminiscing. If you missed it back on Friday, if anybody wasn't with us, Fahad was in the building. Sharif was very upset that he missed Fahad being in the building. COHR, a couple of people were mentioning COHR. There was a deal with NVIDIA, announced an extension of a multi-year deal with NVIDIA for this one, COHR. That was the spike on that one. Let's go on to Palantir, another one. Not necessarily on that list. It's tech, it's AI, but same story.
Wonder if the Anthropic fallout from that Friday thing with Dario Amodei and Pete Hegseth, and then President Trump, of course, taking the opportunity to tweet after that, immediately looked like it was going to benefit OpenAI, right? You saw Altman immediately tweet saying we're going to fill the gap. Yeah, of course. What an opportunist he is. But one must wonder how much of that Palantir is going to get as well. In any event, different headline today for Palantir. It's more of an upgrade. UBS upgrading Palantir from neutral to buy and boosting that price target, or issuing a price target of 180 bucks. The analysts at UBS believe the recent 35% drop in the stock and the broader software sell-off presents a good entry point for what they're calling the premier growth story in software. Also, they're buoyed by the 70% revenue growth that they posted in the fourth quarter, as well as their 2026 guidance, which beat expectations at 61% growth, if you believe that. They also say, look, guys, these guys are the dominant ones in the government and defense contracts. They're Vanguard elite partners, highlights the company's deep integration with government agencies, specifically noting that the U.S. Army has gone, quote, all in on logistics via Palantir Vantage platform. Other agencies are using it as well, but you feel like this is their time to shine now, what's happening in the world.
I mean, if it's going to be anytime. We're back above some key levels here, trying to retake, I mean, not necessarily the bottom end when we broke down from that 150 yet, guys, but nice bounce here today.
Actually, yeah, and something to keep in mind for, you saw Palantir spike when there was that Anthropic hitting the blacklist and losing the DoD contracts. Remember, Sam Altman and OpenAI picked all of that up. So that benefit actually has, if you're looking at the Mag 7, the best Mag 7 name today is actually Microsoft. Everything seems to be down a point or two, and they're flat. In theory, that would be because, you know, they're obviously a big shareholder in OpenAI, and OpenAI getting that contract is huge for them. But then you get both aspects of this for Palantir. Defense names are strong, and throw in the fact that, heck, if going away from Anthropic can only be more of a benefit to Palantir. So the prior highs all the way down at 138, but there is this one spot here. If you can hold this 140 to 141, like this top end of the range at the open, then this becomes an interesting defense name to play. That said, it's not as strong as most of the other defense names I'm looking at. So it's that 141 has to hold. If we don't have some kind of a curl on the 15-minute, if I don't see a break of trend on the way down, I don't want to be sitting catching falling knives. I want to be playing bounce plays, playing higher lows. VWAP is now gone on Palantir, as you can obviously see. So you're underneath VWAP, which allow it to trend down, test that range. When we come back, if we can break the trend, I do like this one at least for a potential long trade. As that good defense name, but the Anthropic story is something that you shouldn't ignore just because of what happened over the weekend. That's also a positive for them.
Yeah, no, for sure. Just right now, silver it just broke down through 83.50. Silver's getting clipped right now a bit. So just want to focus on that as people are looking to see as a potential dip buy opportunity here for silver that I didn't think we would actually get this low right here. I was trying to go long on silver. That must mean Randy's around, or no? No. Okay, good. We've been trained that sound is Randy. Okay, so you just talked about Palantir. Obviously, we like that stock here today. One waiting in the wings, baby Palantir is Big Bear AI. You can't win if you have AI in the name. We sort of talked about that, but they report tonight, so we'll see if they can come up with something. I think an EPS positive turn is potentially in the cards, and I think if it does, then this thing can really move, man. This has a 30% short float. They are in the space of airport scanners, security, heat sensors, everything as far as security at major events. Like I just mentioned, airports, they had the deal in New England. They've got many other, full body scans. When you go through the airport, you're probably using one of those Big Bear AI scanner machines there. They're going to report tonight, and I just think with the World Cup coming through, and then Olympics, even in 28 with LA, right? There are already countries that are saying they're not coming to the Olympics in 28. Obviously, but that will probably change by the time that happens. But, security is going to need to be ramped up. So I would be looking at Big Bear AI and at Palantir just for some of those reasons, man. World Cup coming, Olympics, sporting events don't stop. They're the same thing every year. So that's going to keep on pushing through. I like Big Bear AI, and especially if we do see, right now it's not a great time. We're seeing less numbers in airports, so okay. But security still needs to be a thing. It's kind of like that whole cybersecurity. We get CrowdStrike this week as well. Names are going to get hit that probably don't deserve to be. And I don't believe Big Bear AI doesn't deserve to be hit. They're not making any money. But if they can show their face and actually do something, then fine. So what exactly is the story?
The cybersecurity thing, 100%.
Oh yeah, and they're going to report this week.
They've been hit too hard.
Yeah, they report this week, so we're going to find out about them. I bought PanW. I know you bought CrowdStrike, and I still like CrowdStrike. I'm obviously a shareholder there.
This is actually really
would have bought that as well. Silver right now down pretty good, man. It was up percentage points before, and now this is down to 82.50. So you guys let me know, man, what is going on here with SLV? Ears to the ground, I'm not really hearing anything, but it's getting to the downside right now. So I don't know if some of these major nations are selling some of their profits off in silver or what, or this is a risk off right now for silver, because as the market's been moving around, silver's been a great sort of volatility trade. And now it's volatile, that's for sure, but to the downside. Is that door open over there by any chance?
It's got to be.
Feels like it's getting a little chilly.
I'm literally
I don't mind the cold, but is it open,
I picked
Russ?
the wrong day to shave my head.
Okay. Hey everybody. There's Brendan, there's Sharif, there's our back look there. You got to see Joseph over to the left of us right here. And it's going to be a good day. This is the hat that I got. Oh, there's Andre. Hey, Andre, look at that screen over there. This is the hat that I got on that charity event when I helped support the YMCA here. So you got that going on. Right now, it's Maple Leafs Daryl Sittler hat. I told you guys I'd be looking and rocking this right here. Yeah, thank you. So fancy. Okay, if silver's going to break $82 right now, and this is just falling off a cliff right now. So we're going to have to change our opinion on silver long until exactly this gets sorted out, because there she goes to the downside. There goes Bitcoin. Bitcoin's at 65,000. So the trade is unwinding right before our eyes, everything right now. So I think Nasdaq follows next. and then we go to the downside. But hey, man, if you're selling off fixed assets like gold and heavy assets, gold, silver, Bitcoin, is oil going to the downside? Maybe this is it's J, I'll just call up the J right now. Maybe this is a good idea. Now oil's flat. Maybe this is going to be a good idea for the futures and the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 to go back up to the upside. Are we selling off our metal position to get ready to put some dry powder back into this market? We shall see in 5 minutes.
Nothing much as far as new or additional news at this point on any of this that I can see. So yeah, I mean, silver giving back basically all of Friday at this point, let alone this tiny gap to the upside that we had. But these were initially sharply higher this morning on the back of this risk-off type idea.
Silver?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, absolutely, Brendo. I actually woke up when I started doing the morning note today. I noticed that gold was up and silver wasn't, well, which was interesting to me, and it kind of still is. Gold up 1 2/3, silver down below 3%, as the boys were just talking about there. A key technical level I'm going to be looking at is that $80 area. We've been kind of hovering above the $80 area now for a number of days. I'm talking about SLV, of course, and it had been a bit of a top, the $80 area on SLV for a number of days as well. So let's see, it's coming down quickly in now. That's a big red candle dropping down here on SLV.
Yeah, gold as well following suit, not as dramatic right now, but both giving back in a hurry here, guys.
Jumped the gun there. I didn't realize we were talking about metals next. But,
No, but
we skipped that.
What are you supposed to do? We just dropped like $2. No, just quickly to go over to Apple. I know I had said that Microsoft was the strongest of the Mag 7 names because of the OpenAI aspect from Friday. But Apple, in its own right, is not that bad. It's 1 versus 1.5. And obviously, if the market's going to do, like if market's going to do a bit of a bounce and you want to find something in tech space, I'd probably prefer Microsoft, but Apple's worth keeping on the back burner. If it was actually at the lows to bounce off the 259 to 60 area, I'd feel better, a little bit better right off the bat. But this is one where if it's holding VWAP, if things don't go to like disaster, I'd probably look here before most of the other mags. But as far as gold and silver go, I'd be a little bit surprised if this little rollback, that we're seeing in gold doesn't catch a bit of a bid. That would be, it would be a bit of a shock if that were to be the case. So the prior highs are into 485, and we're still accelerating to the downside, by the way. Like you're still falling off here. Gold's still down. Silver just took out 80. Like this
80?
just went from, no, this is nuts. That's why it wasn't wrong for you to be looking at it and getting ahead of ourselves. No, you've more than pulled it back in.
Hey, I did not realize that.
Like it was
5%.
It's almost like a pre-market liquidation event. And when I see this happen, my first thought usually is, well, at the open, does it snap back up for a scalp trade? So that's where my head's going to be at least at from the beginning of this, is to sort of look at maybe the 80 level in particular. If you lose that, if we continue down the next 3 minutes, then look for like a 68.5. There's no way I'm chasing this to the south side. That doesn't make sense.
I was looking at the imbalances here. Maybe sometimes there is something on the, no, there's nothing. I was going to say maybe sometimes there's something on the imbalances, but I'm not really seeing that right now. Government bonds right there upside, that makes a little bit of sense. Warner Brothers, we didn't talk about that yet. XOM, you know, again, we're clicking on it and you're seeing XOM just kind of hovering around. This is a buy. Yet it's going to the downside a little bit. Oxy, WTI, Ox, that's not WTI, the West Texas. Oxy, downside as well right now, but up 6% and trying to go down with a buy imbalance. So some of these names, we had story with XYZ last week getting a little more efficient there, and unfortunately 40% of their job force has been cut. Oh, there's silver right there. So silver is a little bit of a bid, but that's nothing. It's already done 10 million, so you're at 3% of that at 3,500, or sorry, 350,000. And then in NVIDIA, the other big name that may be hitting with a little bit of a sell. Unfortunately, we do have some dark pools happening right here. All right, so just to go with what we're going to be talking about here into the open. So I'm going to be looking to short the Qs, right? I still want to be short Nasdaq. We're underneath VWAP right now. We'll just see. If it breaks 47 is going to be my first position right there. If that comes through. We could spike down, and even if it does, I want to take it. I want to be short if that does break. I also want to be short Bitcoin as well. That's getting close. I'm going to take 37.30 right off the open. That's going to be VWAP. I don't expect it to be too violent. If it breaks 37.50, we can get out. So those would be two early trades for me. We always say wait a little bit, but I'm feeling pretty okay about getting in. I mean, the liquidity will be there. I just don't want to get sort of swung around on this. So we'll wait, make sure that it is making a move down on the TQs before we do that. And then my other look was going to be Amazon on the short side, just because we did hear about that data center. So I was trying to find something else to short, but we didn't really have too many stories. I mean, Apple dropped the new iPhone, or 17e, so it could be a story there. But for right now, we'll wait to see if Amazon goes the downside on possible disruption of their data center. And then, obviously, I think we all had silver on our mind, and that might have changed just a little bit right here.
Well,
off of a possible bounce. We'll have to wait for 1 minute to go.
Petra. With 1 minute to go, NCLH is going to be on my mind. They reported this morning a slight miss on guidance, the full year guidance, and obviously all of the travel names were getting hit in the first place. So a little bit of red. As long as it's underneath 23.5. Apologies for the dark pool. It's just a few more of them this morning. Some of the charts going to be looking to fade there. I also like some continuation in quantum. If QBTS wants to cooperate, we'll be looking at some defense names, including PLTR. But off the bat, I know it will sound like a broken record with all the metals coverage, but gold and silver might have made a temp bottom. So you've already bounced about $1 here in SLV and G and gold as well with that huge drop. It started with silver, gold already starting to catch a bit. Maybe this will not fill in the entirety of the gap. So first bell, not just of the week, but of March, everybody. And we're gonna ring it in 5, 4, 3, 2, and you know what to do.
All right, here we go. Market now open. We'll let these opening imbalances sort of settle out. Welcome everybody to what should be a very volatile day, and we're gonna be here taking you through all of the market turbulence and just getting it all figured out for you live. As we go, you'll go, and we want to thank everybody for watching. All right, so Nasdaq opens up relatively flat. The TQ's not doing anything. And by flat, I mean we're down 1.5%, but not an aggressive move one way or the other yet here on the Nasdaq. So we'll have to watch out to see if there's anything going on there. IBIT's just doing the same kind of thing, not really moving around yet either. But we are thinking about a short. Why don't I just start a small one here at 20 there, so we'll take that. A little bit of a short, a little bit of a quick fill there. We don't want to get too excited into it. I'm going to wait for that $30 range now, 30 mark. It's the set mark for IBIT. But yeah, just watching out. Here goes the futures back to the upside. There could be a little bit of a relief rally, right? So there's no doubt about that. Silver trying to go back to 80. Watch out for 80 if you're a silver trader. That's where we bounced off in the pre-market.
Yeah, that's a big level for SLV, as it is. It's starting to come back a little bit to the downside. But oh my goodness, Palantir.
Probably ripping.
Whoa!
Oh,
that was not happening. That was not happening in the first few seconds. I can tell you that. When I was looking at Palantir a second ago, you were just chilling about $3 lower. Now you're starting to spike. I got to check my offer on NCLH. Okay, so NCLH is not participating in this rally in the Nasdaq. So big spike up. Nvidia just went green. You just saw Palantir up now 5%. I'm in a Norwegian because that pop is going to get you short in some stuff. No questions asked. But here's Nvidia off the bell, $2 to the upside and absolutely flying. What are we doing? Some of the metals name. The metals are actually still looking weak, so that makes a little bit of sense. If the Nasdaq's going to pop, then some of that weakness that we saw in the metals might actually stay. So the only position I'm in is Norwegian, as that holds underneath the volume weighted average price for now.
All right, we took the Qs for a little short there at 48, and it just bounced right through there. So yeah, about that trade right now, we could try to maybe work it a little bit more here off of the highs.
Right back.
Which is, yeah, Palantir went the downside again?
Right back.
Okay, so 48.11 right now is the high on the Qs, and we'll stop out if it does get up into that level one more time. We are ringing a little bit of register, at least, on crypto. So we're going to go short on that one. We did talk a little bit about, well, we talked a lot about it, but here we go, shorting on IBIT right now into 50, man. If we break that high, then we're out. It looks like the futures will take us out one more time. There it is. So we'll go 0 for 2 on a top end for the futures, and I think we should just do what we say we should do, and that is wait a couple minutes, man. Wow. Okay, it's so funny because yesterday I was talking at hockey again, surprise, surprise. Was at hockey and baseball yesterday. And someone said to me, he's like, oh my God, what is this market gonna do? And I said, you know what, be surprised to see, because most of the time when there's a war, a big conflict, sometimes money does flood into the market.
It's not always what you think.
Yeah, it's not always what you think. So there goes the market straight to the upside right here early. So kicking off March with a nice battle back here in the Nasdaq. I still want to go short though, man. So maybe that's just fool's gold. But speaking of fool's gold, what is actual gold doing? So still downside there, and silver as well. Probably okay. Looking to break that $80 mark. It's gold that's right now breaking near the lows.
Yeah, and as I said, I was saying Palantir was right back to where it was before. We'll get to NCLH in a second. I'm sure you guys are looking at the defense names. Yeah, Palantir, I swear for a second it was back at 141.50. And then you blink an eye and it was back at the highs. That's how quickly things are moving here. So you don't want to get too whipped around. And, again, the only thing I'm in is NCLH underneath VWAP. That just broke the low. Now it's now SSR, so you're down 10%.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to be ringing the register as it goes 10% down every single time. It doesn't matter. But it's also at the 200-period moving average on the daily, which is a bit of a support zone. So first scalp, good. I'm holding for the breakthrough. If we pop back higher, I'll look to reload in front of 2280 or so. So far, so good there. But my goodness, the volatility, like silver had just bounced $1.50. You're now back at that low at 80s. NVIDIA's at the highs. Palantir's at the highs. If you were excited about some of the defense names, AVAV's at 294, so it did break out that 289. But this stock, yeah, we talked about some of the defense names and their volumes. The spread is $1.50 to $2 on AVAV. So again, this is probably more of a swing type of thing. I don't know if you can day trade that stock, but defense names absolutely flying, market's flying as we speak.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what I was going to, I mean, you just looked at Palantir, 144. I think you can even get a lot higher than that for right now. All right, you know, the market has gone obviously for a huge ride, northbound right here, thinking that there's at some point we're going to try to settle it down. We are right back up into a decent, I mean, now maybe finally, that's for Palantir, just topped out to 144 and change. We can see if there is a high level there where that's going. It looks like it's trying to slow down just a bit, maybe not. Let's check out what Amazon's doing. That was going to be another short. Good trade over there. We had lost on the Qs, and IBIT just went up. Oh, here's IBIT. Not that I'm avoiding this IBIT trade. It just went just against. We actually got some out there, so it punched us a little bit long. Through that level, we got out immediately. Maybe they're starting to fade out finally, but it looks like that's a nice move up there for Bitcoin as well, up to 66,000. All right, man, the market definitely bought that open. Will it continue? I mean, that's the question that everybody wants to know, and if we had the answer, we would definitely take a position more aggressively one way or the other. NVIDIA up to 180. Just really surprised at how much this market's moving to the upside here to start the day. So gonna have to try to find something else that's gonna potentially work out for us. IBIT, I still like that short. I still kind of like the future short. And then maybe just silver, energy names. Silver bounced again off 80. Maybe that was an easy trade that we should have looked at. But for right now, just the same old here as we battle through some of these trades early on, as the long has been right. So those of you asking like, hey man, do I sell my position in the pre-market? Doesn't look like that's gonna be the right answer for now. Upside here in the Nasdaq.
Yeah, and there was just even NCLH just had a huge snap through. It just wicked the $22 level almost evenly and snapped about 1.5% almost to the upside. So look, if we come all the way back up to the top, it's not going to be some kind of an automatic reload. I need to see it put in another topping tail candle. Show me that you're still weak. Down 10 points. Remember, it's that SSR bounce. So one scalp so far, and then I go to the other name that I liked that was not a tech name, that was not an energy name, that was not a travel name. Believe it or not, it was Quantum. Yeah, no, it was one of those continuation type plays. And I look at QBTS, and oh my goodness, look at the market, and look at what some of these rebounds are. There is nothing standing in its way right now. So it's going right into the afternoon highs from Friday, obviously. And if there's no obvious turn here, I'm not going to force this one. You've got to bounce. I actually had this for a flat bottom break. Obviously, if it's up $1, it did not break the flat bottom. So if I'm looking short, it has to be some kind of a trend reversion. Palantir's still doing its thing and looking very good doing it. But it just pulled back into VWAP for the first time here. If it can hold the volume weighted average price, I consider it a bit of a chase to not long it off of the 40 to 41 area. But don't mind doing so as long as we can close this next bar on some strength. I do not want to be overreacting early. And you're still seeing crazy price action. Like NCLH, even that's going like 1% at a time on almost every single candle here. So I want things to settle just a tiny bit before we take our second trade.
Yeah, still trying to figure out the back and forth here of this market, as Neil just said. I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to wait just a little bit. We'll take advantage of this most recent move down and get some more out of the Qs right now. But there goes Netflix. Wow, up to 97. And I actually made the comment that, like, if we didn't have this unsettlement here in the Middle East, Middle East, we would probably have Netflix mooning, and it looks like Netflix moons anyways, all the way to the upside right there and follows the Nasdaq to the north side there as we get going. All right, so yeah, look, man, the shorting this morning has not been the right call early. That is for sure. So we're gonna have to wait on that one. Just a quick look. We're still waiting for this Qs to sort of settle down a little bit here. We're not going to, like Neil said, I don't think it's worth it. We tried it already there at the 200, and we tried small there at 40. That was actually a level that I was thinking about into here, 48.50, this short. And we had written it down, so I wanted to take it because it was something that I'd thought about. And, you know, we had seen many of these moves go back and forth. So I'm going to just quickly here, I'm going to pass back to Neil. I just took some more out at 50 here. Maybe it starts to escalate back down into the downside, and of which case, man, let's take another bid at 40s if we can get that there it is, low 40s. See if we can make a little bit of this money back now, as the short now, which is a good call, being a little patient there, starting to finally fill out just a bit here on this particular trade. So we'll wait for it and see if we can get back to Greensville now. This probably needs to get back to like 48.20s or so, and then we can make our money back. But down on this right now, and then down on IBIT. IBIT's actually ripping right now. Sorry, go ahead with your quantum. That looks good.
I finally got into QBTS. It just did a bit of a topping tail at Friday's highs, but someone just asked me something in the chat that I'm going to hate myself over. It's that stupid INDO stock. Because if you haven't looked at what's going on in some of the energy names, I'll do the work for you. Occidental dropped $2.50 off of the open and was only up 2% now after being a huge runner. And, well, smoking on that INDO is what short sellers were doing.
Booyah.
Because INDO was up 40%. Immediately loses VWAP. What's the point of paying for shorts if you're not going to use them? Well, for the opportunity to have done so, but that was a big missed opportunity out there. We talked about how sometimes these small cappers that go on the energy are habitual line steppers. This is one of the biggest ones, and it's already down like $1.60. Remember to hit the like and subscribe, everybody. Join the conversation. It's a subs-only chat. And make sure, Commodity King or anybody out there, you're typing symbols in the chat for us to look at. Use that $sign Oxy, $sign Palantir, PLTR, whatever it might be. But first, got to hit that subscribe button, jump in while the water is warm and the studio is freezing cold here into a hot market. No, I'm literally,
Good one.
you know
I like
what?
that hot market. This is a hot market. Right?
In all honesty, it probably has something to do with the fact that I shave my head when it's like 17 degrees below zero with wind chill.
Yeah.
And one of the dumber decisions. Anyways.
That's okay.
I need my
It's, go get a toucan. I feel like it's gotten better in here since last reported. So, but anyways, yeah. The coldness actually stops today, apparently, in Toronto. So we'll see. Hopefully that is the case. Cannot confirm or deny that right now. All right, so a couple, as we had said, man, a couple more outs. Oh, I was kicking this wire. I hope I don't do anything. Who is that? That's Mark. Okay, good. All right, so yeah, it's fine. It's just there. I want to make sure I don't kick it out for him.
As long as no power goes out.
Yeah, we don't want any power going out anytime soon here. That would be an epic fail. But I don't think so. These guys right here. We're building up more and more of this studio, guys, as we go. So be very, very, you know, we thank you all for the patience that many of you have sometimes when the sound gets a little excited around here. Okay, so just back to the markets here. I'm still watching the Nasdaq. Let's just check out what oil's doing quickly, give you guys an idea as some of you traders are looking at oil. 71 and change, so a nice drop down right into the 200 period. This is exactly, I mean, we could go over to XLE. We were like, this is probably where we should go here. You know, just when Trump, Darryl will be here shortly. When Trump starts speaking, man, we'll drop all that news to you. Scheduled to speak at 11 a.m., okay? Right now is what I heard or what I read earlier from President Trump. So that's why we'll have Adara here scheduled for around 11 a.m. when President Trump will hit the mic. And at that point, I mean, what do we really expect from him?
Anything and everything.
That's what I was going to say. Like, it's hard to think about where it's going to go. I mean, I'm hoping peace talks, obviously. But if not, you know, we should see oil get escalated a little bit there, and a stock like a Palantir, which really right now isn't doing a whole heck of a lot. It's already had its move up today. You can see on the chart here, 144. Palantir just kind of holding out on that one. I was talking about Uber earlier. You know, that could be a stock that would have been in trouble if, you know, if that whole sort of travel theory played out, where less travel, less Ubers, but Uber goes upside right now and still down that 1.35%. And then Apple, in a little bit of news this morning, I had thought there with the 17E and more talk with Google and whatnot, but Apple right now, kind of meh right here, not doing a whole heck of a lot. All right, man, let's see how low we can go now. If the futures just need to break, and then we'll be back in it. I'll review some of the major, headlines in a couple minutes, but let's go over and see if there's anything going on with your quantum play.
We also have there's a halt for a small capper that I'll get to for everyone out here. TPET, TPET, we'll just call it PET, up 200 points.
T-PET.
Current halt at 134. The tap, it's an AMEX stock, so we don't get like the early look of the theoretical auction price will just be flat whenever it's an AMEX stock. So I can't tell you where it's likely to open up just yet, but I just reloaded on QBTS. So, this big bounce that you're seeing in the market is a rising tide that is lifting all ships. And if we break out this local high, I'm going to jump out of this. It tried to get into the volume weighted average price the first time, got close, but now you're immediately breaking back the top. This is what looks like a bit of a relief rally. So if that's what's happening, got to be a little bit more patient for the short. It could still come in off this level, but again, don't want to turn this into an absolute mess. We got one shot.
Yeah. We only have 20
already
seconds
worked.
until PMI.
But 20 seconds and we get that PMI number.
So
So
I
I'm not taking anything until the back end of that trade. I'll be looking at NCLH again, and then potentially Palantir, because I haven't gotten that long in PLTR, even though it's holding VWAP. Got a bit of a reversal off 145, but for now holding VWAP. Are we going to get that number?
Yeah, so we're going to do it right now. 10 seconds. It should be out. Chicago PMI. Global manufacturing PMI for February. I'm going to do my best impression of Adara pretty soon. 51.2 is what's expected. It gets 51.6. So higher global manufacturing PMI coming through right now. 51.6 versus 51.2. Let's see how that does affect the market. Looks like the Nasdaq likes that number. We just took a couple bids out just before that number right there. So 51.6 coming for PMI, and it looks like it's okay. Here we go. I was going to stop out a half if we wind up breaking through the top side of this trade, because we actually were already able to get out of a lot of this last reload here. So here it goes right back into the highs right now. 51.6 for 51.2, looking like we're going to take out the highs right now for the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. SPY both getting higher and higher right now as they like that PMI number. Market was trying to go downside, not anymore, as they go to that one, and we'll have to watch out for the SPYs. It's Hockey Night in Canada, baby. I just saw Adara come through. It's glad to have her back right there. 51.6 on the global S&P manufacturing. If I can find that number on our headline board. 51.2 versus 51. 51.2 is what they got, what we're expecting. They got 51.6. It's not up on our newsfeed, so I can't show it to you. And there it is right there. Yes, no, Adara, please take your time, man. No need to stress. Neil and I have got this. We did the show for 6 years without news, I feel like, or 5 years, and it's one of the best parts about the show. Yeah, we got it. 51.6. I
guess we haven't.
Right there versus 51.2. Nasdaq did fade out just a little bit here. It doesn't look like it wants to do it now, though. So paying attention to what's happening right now.
And as that happened, I got back in after a bit of a wick top on QBTS, but looks like Palantir is going to lose VWAP. So there might not be a VWAP long for me on Palantir. We'll have to wait till maybe the 141. This is giving up the move a little bit. 4% up for this defense name. Also had the Anthropic story from Friday, which, by the way, on that Anthropic story, here's Microsoft now in the green.
What?
Almost a full point to the upside on Microsoft. I would have expected maybe a little bit better. It's now just
out there.
Again, it's still better than the overall market. I would have expected a little bit better, especially with OpenAI picking up all of the slack. So I'm back into QBTS. It looks like this one could make its way back to VWAP, but this time, this strong of a move early, covering into the volume weighted average price. Oh, and INDO, our little energy small capper that it's trying to bounce. So if this bounces to VWAP, I'm fading the volume weighted average price on INDO. Let's go to the first time.
Here we go.
To Adara. She's back. Are we?
On mute.
Off in the OpenAI thing, just one kind of piece of opinion here. One thing I was reading is the reason it might be interpreted as a little bit bad for ChatGPT, that they're picking up the slack with the government contracts, is now, I guess, consumers might be viewing them as maybe less scrupulous or less trustworthy than the likes of Claude. In fact, I was actually seeing something over the weekend. Claude now tops ChatGPT in terms of apps downloaded in the AI space. Of course, that could be due to the fact that Claude's been very viral as of late, but at least some people are interpreting that as related to the fact that Claude now being viewed as a little bit more scrupulous and more morally sound, for lack of a better term, with regards to their conduct with the Pentagon. Back to you.
Dara. All right, so we're going to get out of half of our trade there on the TQs as it does break above that 80 level. So the short doesn't look like it wants to print at all. So we're able to get some out there at those levels, and it does not break that level there. So we'll hold on to a little bit. I didn't want to get out of everything because of that number, but now the number's hit, and the market is trying to go back up to the upside. So the only other sort of short idea I had was Amazon, and that was right here at 208. So Amazon's right there right now trying to make me think about another short here. I probably will try it against 208 now that we've failed off of that. So we may have a decent, there it goes, of course. We may have a decent level to do some damage on with Amazon here, 208.
Yeah, and my eyes are going to be on Indo. We're still in QBTS, looks like it wants to finally go. But it'll be the volume weighted average price that we take. So we did get that wick out and then jumped back in when it failed, but holding that volume weighted average price, whether it does or not, that's where I want to jump out in this bit of a trend. Palantir, same story, so nothing's really changed for me there. It's still looking weak under VWAP, but look at the battle on NVIDIA for 180 bucks. This one really wants to go. It's going to be hard for the market to stink if we get through 180, but I just want to keep one reminder. I'm going to be patient looking for short opportunities. If we break here on the Nasdaq, 25,000 was a wall on Friday.
Yeah.
So if we get there, are we busting through 25,000 after the conflict? I don't know. So I think looking for that level as the next spot to look for some short entries probably makes some sense if we end up busting through 24.9, which we haven't done so just yet. So if that happens, I'm going to look at a usual list of suspects. I'm noticing here for myself at least, that Intel couldn't get up through 46. And if you saw what happened on this stock at $46 on Friday, that's one heck of a reversal on a failed breakout of $46. So that's one that I'll watch if we get to 25K on the Nasdaq. For now, just QBTS. And I see there's another halt for you small cap traders, Turbo Energy.
Oh.
Of course.
There we go, more small ones.
Yeah, another one halted to the upside here, tap 160 at penny stock. And it's another small cap, I'm assuming, energy name that's doing its thing like Indo was. But again, habitual line stepper. I think these are almost like fades until proven otherwise. So I'm looking for Indo to pop a little further than I would short it. But we finally got VWAP on QBTS. So that just bounced off of the volume weighted average price. We're able to short that a second time through. So just going to be patient, look for a trend break on Intel, hopefully. And maybe we do get this bounce on Indo, INDO. Everyone's going to think that I'm, Indo. Get that Indo, baby.
Yeah.
INDO, which is Indonesian energy. It's not what you think. So if we get VWAP, great. But I'm starting to see this could turn here. So I might take a quick little shot underneath some pre-market supports on INDO for the continuation short. And the good thing is energy could bounce. This one doesn't have to bounce with it because it's still up 25%.
Yeah, so we have, we're having a little bit of money trade right now, finally, on Amazon. I don't want to get out of too many shares here, but we will clear out more at 207 as it's coming back in. We're just short at 207.70s here, and we've just been covering in the 30s and 40s. So I do have another bid here in the teens at 15 exactly. So hopefully that comes through and we're able to deal with that. But for right now, this is what I'm dealing with, and that is a nice short, so far, anyways, on Amazon. I mean, we've had some shorts before and not really loved life. So let's make sure that they work out for us here. Amazon, short the Q, short Amazon. Amazon right now trying to get into that dollar club, but needs to break through it. Held there 207. We'll put a bid right there at 207.05. Get that fill, and now we'll see if we can get just a little bit lower. And here we go. Now we're starting to crank. Good trade here on Amazon. Good trade back on the TQQs as the market's starting to come back in just a little bit. So we've made back almost everything here right now. But we got to hopefully get more downside to make this well worth it. So there's the short on the Qs. Here's the short at Amazon. This looks like that will get into that dollar club right now. So we'll put a bid there in the 70s. Take that. There goes Amazon. And again, the only equity that we had talked about short, and finally it pays div on for us as we just got patient, man. We were not patient enough with the TQs. You guys know that. There's our Amazon short there. IBIT, these were all early. Like when the Nasdaq started to run, we should have left IBIT alone and let it settle. Same thing with that, but actually Amazon was the one target that we had upside, and that that one is the one that's actually printing beautifully now back in for us. So good trade there. And then finally now, we won't be positive on this unless this gets back to 48. That would be our TQQ call. So now we need to have this fall down a little bit here now, as we'll just wait. We've got Adara here now, so any sort of news about, you know, new airstrikes or whatever like that's going to come, which we have news from Adara right now, so let's go find out what that's all about.
Good news for me, it is actually involving potentially airstrikes. Loud explosion reportedly heard from the area of the nuclear facility in the airbase in the central city of Isfahan, as reported by Iranian news networks. So more explosions on watch here, guys. Of course, I will keep you all apprised and keep you focused and posted. In 7 minutes, we are going to be getting the ISM manufacturing PMI data. Of course, S&P manufacturing PMI coming a little bit higher than expected. ISM manufacturing PMI forecast 51.5, previous well above that, 52.6. Again, 7 minutes until that number, but just a heads up. Back to you.
Hey, thanks, Adara.
Thanks, Adara. Adara wearing the green today, and the day that the market is red, it doesn't necessarily matter, but it does make you, I don't know, pensive. The funny thing is you hear like those headlines, explosions, like, okay, on the bit of INDO, what if it spikes? Well, I don't know. We're probably going to get a lot of headlines like that throughout the day, which are like little, this report of this skirmish, reports of smoke here. Like, it's not something that we should be unaccustomed to. So I don't want to overreact to it. I'm going to get back in the shares that I took off. Going to keep the stop here at this prior wick on INDO. Just looking over it at Intel, which is another name that we're looking for that curl in. Ooh, doesn't want to go, doesn't want to go. Now it's just, like, now it's just weird barcoding happening. No retest of the high to be able to get to 46. Can't seem to really break through the volume weighted average price. There might not be much going on with that particular name. And Palantir, however, okay, well, that's a distinct change.
Bouncing, or?
Palantir looked like it was headed back for that 141 low, so we could take the support long. Yeah, forget about that. Palantir just busted through the volume-weighted average price. So Palantir just broke this downtrend. Hold VWAP, baby, and then we can have something to go on Palantir. Didn't want to chase this in either direction. Now we've got a couple of, well, we have one print on a 15, and we have almost the entirety of the opening range, and that looks like it has a chance to hold this volume-weighted average price. Haven't had a long yet. This would be the first one if we hold that VWAP.
Yeah, I have same thing, no longs for me yet either, but a good clear out I feel like for the futures there. Didn't get it all back, but right into the 25 period moving average and then a solid bounce off of that. So just brought it right back into some of those levels, and these are levels that, you know, we're on and not necessarily concerned with, but, you know, like that trading in through the 25 period moving average. And again, we'll stop out if it takes out 49, no more averaging into it. Let's just let it work out. Same thing with this Amazon trade. Let's have a quick look at the broader markets if we can here real quick. Where is it? Here it is, the stock heat map. So we'll just refresh this as we still have it from Friday. There it is. So now let's have a quick little look at what's been happening here. Broader market-wise, there's really nowhere to run today, or hide, I should say. If you're running, maybe you're running away from some of these tech names, although it's been a good little morning for some tech names, as there it goes, man. Let's get lower on the TQs and on Amazon right now. We're starting to tank again. Tank number 2 happening. Valero, you know, that's been a good name there. U.S. refinery, XOM as well. It's going to be hard to get any oil out of Iran, but obviously that disruption there in the Straits and everywhere is a problem. Berkshire off the weekend, down 4%. So there that goes. JP Morgan also down 1. I'm going to review this in a minute because right now we are getting some moves lower there. So there's the Qs again, right back into that area. We actually took out to 25. Now we went a little lower. We took a bid there. Amazon, we took another bid there as well at 07s. So actually it looks like we got 07 or 0690, something like that. So that's trying to make a move lower here as well. So that's what I'm kind of dealing with right now, as it looks like the banks are starting to be okay. Maybe finding a little bit of a base there. SoFi bounced nicely off 17 early. So that's a real nice bounce back there for SoFi. And we just looked at JP Morgan, and that was only down 1% or so, 1.2%, something like that. So that's bouncing off that 93, gets all the way to 97 as well, JP Morgan. So there is some battle back here right now in this market. Just got to be in the right space, and we're going to try to find you some more names to trade. Make sure you put them in the chat. $, whatever you want us to talk about. Short the futures with the TQs right now, and possibly looking into some oil trading. As I see you're on that INDO.
Yeah, we're on that right INDO. Now. Not actually on it, if you know what I mean. We're just trading it. But just one, before we get to that, I just saw in the chat, and a big shout out to Darth Trader saying Circle is nuts. Yeah, it is nuts.
Oh my gosh,
If
Obi.
you had Circle up 9% on your bingo card this morning, well, first of all, I have no idea why we would even think this stock would be up this much. What is even happening? Bitcoin's at 67. Like, what? Huh? Yeah.
Samesies.
Explain this one to me, but either way, it doesn't really matter. This is a breakout on the daily chart that I'm not saying I'm a believer in it, but because I'm not, but it's happening. So 92 is 92. It is what it is. I know that's an annoying saying. Ball doesn't lie. Circle's on an absolute tear. This could be some kind of a squeeze, technically. If there's a reason for this, and I'm aware that someone else is aware, throw it in the chat if you happen to know. We'll keep our ear to the ground. But this is one of the strongest things that I've seen out there. And that energy trade, I was just looking at Oxy a second ago, but even Indo, like the consolidation here is working from about 755 to about 725. But it's not falling through that low. And we're a little ways from VWAP, so I don't know if I want to keep reloading in this tight range. If it breaks the top, I'll wait for the VWAP retrace. But as long as we're underneath VWAP, I feel pretty good about this. Market bouncing and catching a bid, and energy has been trend down. So as long as that holds, I think we're okay. But I look at Oxy, and even that's starting to look like it wants to break higher. So I might wait for VWAP for the next reload on INDO, as, yeah, the volatility is certainly here. No question about it, but it's already 10 o'clock. So let's find out what's happening now, Adara.
We have about 30 seconds here until we get this number, now about 20, but let's prepare you guys for what to expect after a higher than expected S&P manufacturing PMI print. We have arguably the more closely watched ISM manufacturing PMI print coming through in now just 10 seconds. 51.5 is the forecast, 52.6 is the prior print. So we are expecting here, at least the forecast, lower than the previous print. Now let's see what we get here. Do we get a higher than expected print, much like what we got with the manufacturing PMI S&P? ISM not giving us quite what we were expecting here. A little bit higher than the forecast, 52.4 versus estimates of 51.5, but it's still below the previous print of 52.6. Market not reacting too much to this, continuing to kind of chop and churn, but to be fair, the market has so much to react to today after a very eventful weekend. Of course, we've got now military action going on definitively with the U.S. in Iran, Israel also getting involved there. So names like CVX, some of these oil plays, as well as defense plays like Lockheed Martin, LMT, or RTX, those are all going to be on watch today heading into the session, though a lot of them pushing a little bit lower as the market, which gapped down, kind of pushed a little bit higher off the open as well. One example being Microsoft, though you could look at a lot of these big tech names potentially with that in mind. I want to talk about Netflix because there are still some continuation plays that are going to be on watch. Netflix had a pretty strong session, actually very strong session, all day on Friday after deciding they're not going to raise their bid for Warner Brothers, allowing PSKY to step in and officially seal the deal with Warner Brothers, as it were. Netflix getting a couple positive analyst notes, including an upgrade from JP Morgan this morning. Well, we actually had a press conference here, very least a call with Paramount Skydance about Warner Brothers, saying their plan is to reinvent the business rather than kind of continue things as they were. They did say they're going to be merging their streaming businesses. If I hear any more, I'll let you know. But moral of the story is, even though there is, of course, geopolitical uprising, as it were, there are still going to be some continuation plays to look at as well. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Adara. Yeah, it doesn't look like that ISM's doing too much there. 48.8 versus 48.1. We did have a move down. We did take advantage of that move on the futures again. We didn't get 40s. We got 50s right there as it fell back in. And we might just clean this out, man. It looks like despite all these PMIs, despite everything that's happening in the market, we still want to hold. We want to hold this 48.8. 24.8 right there. This is 48.8 on the Nasdaq, and just go higher right there. So there we go, man. All the shorts right now getting smacked a little bit. We're still, I mean, look, this Amazon's been great. We're able to get more out right there, as you don't really want to be holding too many of these into numbers because we know how much, they can affect the general market. So yeah, definitely on working my way out and cashing out of all of these trades as we go. I'm still going to try Amazon though, if we get a reload up there near 208. I mean, we've only traded two names. Well, we traded IBIT early. We got out of that one real quick. That was a bad call, as Bitcoin just keeps going higher right there. But the futures have been okay, man. We've been able to make a little bit back there. Then Amazon's really been the best name for me so far. Boeing, we had talked about that one as a potential runner as well earlier today, and it didn't, it did make that move higher, then lower, up $5, and now it's kind of stuck in the middle. So if these futures do want to take off here, I think Boeing could be a beneficiary of this name, of this play there. So yeah, watch out here as we continue to be short the market here a little bit.
Yeah, I said I'd wait for VWAP on INDO, no reload the third time through. So stuck with that. It just broke that local resistance level, I guess. It's getting a little closer to VWAP. I need to see it fail before I jump back into it. On the south side, QBTS finally put in a lower high where we could sink our teeth into. There was the bounce on the initial short into Friday's highs. It just put in a topping tail and a lower high candle. So back into the short, give it to this top, and we'll play back into the $18 level for this name. But my goodness. What's weird is I know we haven't been talking about the chip names. So last time we updated you guys on NVIDIA, it was chilling at $180 with resistance there, and it's still doing exactly the same thing. A little bit of a wall here on NVIDIA at 180, and it just cannot seem to break through. It seems like it's maybe only related to NVIDIA. Look over here at AMD. This will load up in a quick little second. AMD, bit of a wider range. It's putting in lower highs, still weak, but it's not one particular sell wall breaking through. If NVIDIA takes out and closes above 180, I could see this flying. So I'm gonna, my notion here is I still think Intel of the chip names is the one to short. It's breaking VWAP, it's trend down, but I would love to see one of these others start to break lower as well before chasing this move. So the only position is not really a new one because it's just the second time through into QBTS. Market still can't seem to break through 24.9, probably due to what we're seeing in NVIDIA, one of the most critical names out there. And by the way, Circle's still going. 11% now to the upside on Circle. This is definitely a squeeze.
Yeah, good call there. And you mentioned the Clarity Act and everything was.
I don't know. I don't
say,
know.
Oh boy, to OB there, as that was a short that he liked. So we'll have to wait to see what happens with Circle there. And basically bounced right off of its IPO price. So when it was making to the downside. So that was.
I don't believe this move. But.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one, man. With all of that. But all right, so we did get reloaded there. My finger slipped and hit that button. I was waiting for Neil, but we got reloaded at 80s, and I just honestly, 90s. And as soon as that came through, man, for some reason we immediately got 70s, 50s, and 40s. So we take the advantage of that move on Amazon, bring it back to the downside as the futures just come back in just a wee little bit right now. And I'm still here, but this looks like it wants to take out 49 as the top here on the futures. So we're going to be very, very careful with what we're doing now and trying to get some more out as this top end tail. I believe, Adara, maybe you can confirm this, that maybe Trump is speaking at 11 or so. I believe that's what I had heard earlier or read.
So he is speaking at a medal ceremony at 11. Okay. Usually those are kind of specific to whoever is being honored. So the chances of him going off script, to put it a certain way, are a little bit less likely, but it's Trump, anything can happen.
Strong. Yeah, I was going to say he's going off script 100%. So, yeah, if someone will ask him something and he'll brag about something or...
The point I'm trying to make, though, is there actually aren't questions during these medal ceremonies usually. So the chance, that's what I mean. He's more likely to just talk about whoever is being honored.
Right.
We think.
I hope so. I mean, that's what we hope that he does, is focuses on the point. But we'll wait to see there. And there's nothing wrong with whatever he decides to do. Hey, Randy, how's it going, man? Your XOM call, chef's
obviously
kiss,
doing pretty nice.
On that one, man. Wow, I don't know. Oil and Randy, you must have known this was going to happen there. I think a lot of us knew, right? I mean, it's just a matter of taking the shot there, getting involved early. We took the XLE breakout, the XOM base was beautiful.
All the signs of action were coming through. I mean, it is what it is. You didn't know how
the reaction.
You just never knew how big of a military action this was going to be. But for weeks now, it's been looking like we were headed towards some kind of a...
Market told you, man. I mean, XLE was breaking out, and XOM started to break out, and then Venezuela happened, and it was just kind of like a quiet storm, whatever, there for oil. It was just brewing up there, and okay, there we go.
What's wild is that Apple TV show I was telling you about.
Yeah, it's basically the exact same thing.
It's not exactly the same thing, but it's a little bit too...
playing out that way.
Yeah, it's a little bit too close to the vest. Hey, what's up, Fabian? He's got the toque on that I wish I had right now.
What's up, Fabian?
Oh, by the way, silver is finally breaking out of its malaise. Remember, there was a liquidity event at the open or just before the open on all of the metals. Since then, double bottom at 80 here and continuing to break higher. So you would have thought, like most of the logic would be, okay, if the market is bouncing, then metals down, energy down. But we're seeing a bit of a reversal. That market is certainly strong and bouncing, but we're not rolling back over in silver and gold. So a bit of a weird one. NVIDIA looks like it's busting through that 180. So this is going to be the test here. We just broke on the futures. NVIDIA just busted through the 180. So Intel remains relatively weak. If anything is going to fail at 25,000 on the Nasdaq, give me a weak stock, because this is already a weak stock. So as we press into 25,000, I want to pick on something which is not super strong going into it, because I think that's going to be a resistance zone. So the one I've identified here is going to be Intel, at least for now.
All right, now that Trader TV Academy is officially live, we're seeing so many of you diving into the modules. We want to thank you for that. We've also been posting a lot on the news feed, so catch us over there today. We've done the work to get the platform ready, so now it's your turn to step inside. Get started. Your trading journey starts today. The starting price is $480. If you haven't joined the tons of traders already inside, now is the time. Please, there's that QR code on your screen. Scan it, head to Trader TV Live, and start building your foundation today. And I mean, just the ideas, everything that we can generate there from the campus section, from the news feed. You can post up your ideas. Also videos on how we started, how we've trained to get to this moment in our trading careers. You know, hurdles psychologically, anything technologically. Get access to the P Pro 8 platform, the exact same platform that we use here, which gives you opportunities to trade the world. Many different markets available to Neil and myself, and to you guys as well on the P8 platform. So hop inside there, find out all of your information about that program today. Okay, I'm going to, you know, so we did get stopped out there finally. I mean, we had sort of absorbed many PMI numbers, and eventually it was a little bit too much. I'm not going to reload this Amazon. We have the position that we want, 208. The market's obviously not treating us, the market's not treating shorts very well, so I'm not going to get back into this short. Just hold on to what we have, and then use, basically, we're not going to turn red. I'm going to go 208.20 as our out. You know, we've taken 30 cents was like the minimum we've taken on this. We just got 30s right there on that reload. So that was 60 cents, doubling that win. So we'll see if the market falls. I'm confident Amazon will go down with it. Amazon down 1.08. Futures down 0.3 right now. What is the ES doing? 0.3 as well. So Nasdaq 0.4, ES down 0.3. Oil continues to make a little bit of a move down from what I saw, and let me just go back over to it before I report on that. Yeah, so it was up about 8% at the highs, 7% as we opened, now down just a little bit, making a move back into $70 as, again, like I don't think everything's all fixed or anything yet, not rosy, you know, earnings ahead with tonight with Big Bear AI. We saw NCLH earlier as well. And we get a nice bounce for a lot of you SoFi traders today off of that $17 mark. I know that has to make a lot of us feel pretty good right there, that SoFi at least is bouncing and finally getting some upside trade happening in SOFI. All right, man, I just think it's longs now. I got to start to look for longs, maybe some pullbacks here as the Nasdaq and looking to get that 25,000 mark you mentioned.
It is trying to get to that 25,000, but almost to VWAP was at INDO, not quite. His energy names are pulling back. This one is a small capper, was the one I wanted to pick on. He had one little scalp trade in here underneath 760, but now it's starting to lose trend again. So the volume weighted average price is where I'm looking, but it's also breaking this bit of an upward trend. So I might have to chase. I don't want to, but INDO here is breaking this little upward trend into VWAP. I might chase it to 760 or the same place we had it before once it confirms that trend line. For now, I'm looking at that VWAP trade. Everything else just seems almost all systems go. Like you look at what's going on, market strong, energy down, but what's wild is look at Bitcoin just hit 68.
What?
We just hit 68,000 on BTC, and we were talking about Circle was going. So basically it's a crypto squeeze in here.
Exciting.
Like a huge rally coming in, and there's not much standing in the way outside of, this is where we were on Thursday. You start getting into the 39 level on IBIT, you run into a little bit of resistance, but it's an absolute gong show here. I just saw someone type in IREN. Yeah, like I guess they get it in both ways. They get it for the transition, they get it for any residual in crypto, but like this has gone green. You're seeing an everywhere relief rally. The only thing, again, that I want to jump back into, at least for now, as we go into 25,000, if we don't get there first, is going to be INDO. Just like the notion that if energy remains in this pullback mode, I still believe in most of the good energy names, so the small capper seems the safer way to play the short.
All right, we have a new position. Hopefully, Palantir will be better for us on the short than the other names. So we'll short this one against 144. And again, like, this is when I do my best trading. Like, honestly, once there's some levels to develop, I think all of us do that. I mean, especially if you are, I shouldn't say everybody. I mean, some people use technical analysis much different than I do. But just for support and resistance levels right there, let's just start to make a little bit of our money back here today on this short. Now, look, it looked like Palantir here. I'm going to pull this shoot here in case it does actually come in. Let's try VWAP. We should get a piece out at 40 if we're able to do that now, because that's where our 25 period moving average is. Then we have VWAP at 143. So let's go to 143 15s or so. We got to get these prices, right, or else we'll stop out on that high break right there of 144.20. So I'm already actually out of 30% right here on a move back into 50 just to capture the 1-to-1. Remember, my stop, I just told you where it was, 144.20. So that out right there is 55s. This out is 65. I think we have another 60 or so. I got out immediately once it fell back in right there, because now here we go, man. The short is probably a scalp, not necessarily a hold. So we'll get out of a third of that, and hey, man, if it winds up taking out the top, then fine. I just said, like, we got to find some longs, and I immediately went into the short there. So, okay. Stopped out. My best stock, obviously, we only have one Werner stock. We lost on IBID, got out of that one. And then we actually did real well on Amazon, man. And we had to stop out once it broke the top. That's now looking like a mistake as it's trying to come back in. We only got out at 208.20. That was literally our bid. Our best bid was 25s there. So a little bit of slippage happening on Amazon, but nothing really to compare to cry about. All right, there it is. Okay, so that was easy. There's our stop there on Palantir, and we're actually out just a small amount right now. So that was pretty good as we start to take out some of the highs right now. Looks like the long might have been right, but I don't want to give up on this trade. That's why we didn't get out of it all right here, just to see sort of the reaction that we'd be getting right now from this Palantir trade. So we'll average in a little bit more there, use 144.50 now. And this is when we start to lose it, right? Is when we get too carried away and just average into oblivion, and we definitely don't want to do that. The high of the day here on Palantir is, we can just check our map here, 144.90 on our level 2. That looks like that'll work. Let's use that as our stop. So we're going to try to go 144. We'll try to get a little bit more there at the top. We don't have a full position on this, so I'm comfortable holding it right now. Short Palantir 1 unit 144.15, trying to give it to that 145 top.
Yeah, I'm going to stick back. I just got back into that energy name for the short side. Sticking with that INDO, at least for now. Lost that VWAP, broke that trend, so we're going to short the consolidation. But also, if I had to sneeze here, Intel is starting to break down before we got to 25 thou on the futures. What I like about, I already mentioned what I like about this one relative to everything else that I'm seeing, is it's been downward trending since the open at the highs, while the Nasdaq has been trending up. So if we get to that 25K, I feel like you got some resistance. That'll give me the 45, I think, to be able to work with. So for now, this Nasdaq, you don't even, on a 15-minute, we're all green candles. So until proven otherwise, I just kind of feel like we're headed toward that 25K. In anticipation of that, we'll be looking for, and wow, we just broke the lows as the market makes another leg higher, which is annoying. Next available pop on Intel, I do want to be short this name. It looks like, for whatever reason, this thing is a heaping pile of you-know-what with the market going higher. Oh, Micron's going down too. So there's a couple of chip names which are looking weak. I'm looking at NVIDIA trending up and trying to figure out why the stock that I want to be able to fade on a pop is only heading to the downside. So kind of weird is that you're seeing so much weakness in Micron and Intel when the market is popping higher. But it's happening, is what it is. So Indo we're back into. I want to point out Netflix continues higher. You know what? Ooh. Hindsight's always going to be 20/20, but remember, Netflix did have the positive news of its own, effectively, that they don't have to worry about the deal anymore. They get that massive breakup, $2.8 billion for the breakup fee with that Warner Brothers deal. And they're not really affected by the war, you wouldn't think. I can't think of any reason why that one should have been negative. And when you sort of peel that back, it wasn't necessarily in play today, but there was nothing really to hate about it, so it gets benefit from a market rally. It gets benefit from the fact that it had nothing but positive news last week. So good for Netflix here. I think that $100 target is in play after that 80 bounce. Should get there at some point today, hopefully. So INDO, still looking for that one fade.
Palantir, damn it.
Hasn't broken down yet. I'm looking for $7 and then play into the low of the day. Oh, and looks like, did Tilray ever open up?
Well, yeah, we just heard the story there.
Oh,
come
no,
on,
Tilray's
Palantir.
still halted on that news for everybody out there. I just heard in my ear Tilray. I thought maybe they opened up. They made some kind of we're making an acquisition, but that's been halted since about 8:50 in the morning. Still not open yet. Weird.
So we, yeah, that is weird. When you said that, I was like, oh, it has to be
The
open.
news has been out for like an hour and a half.
We shorted 70s there on Palantir and got stopped out at O's, and now it's right back into 30s again. So that should be a winner, which it's not right there for Palantir because it really got going there. And, you know, once it gets going, oh, shit. Okay, nice move back down, but we do have a new position. I was going to think about getting Tesla into the short now as we've sort of made that move up into 400, into some levels right there to think about that trade for TSLA into 398, 399, 400 now. So we're going to have to watch out to see if that play can happen. Damn you, Palantir, as that has pulled back quite nicely now for, too bad, man. There's a stop out there. Just to put it a little bit higher. Well, you know what? That went to 145.25. So, oh man, that would be a nice move, but we don't have it. So, too bad there, man. We just shorted that Palantir right off that top wick right there. That was 70s. And there it goes to the downside. So boo on that one. We'll have to wait to see if that one's going on. I'm going to short Tesla just to see if there is a downside play. I mean, this has been up $8 right there from the open, and now we finally have a little bit of a top. That does kind of like look like an area that we are interested in. So we were talking about this when we sort of talked about Tesla earlier today, if we were to get anything up into this area. And again, we did really well waiting out and being patient. Not for Palantir, for Amazon. And that worked out well. And actually, you know what? Being patient on Palantir actually did work out. It's just that last one took us out on the very, very top side of it. So, all right, we'll start with one unit here on Tesla and see maybe this name, again, with the market pulling back and this name going higher, maybe we're in the wrong name again here with Tesla. But so far, starting to make moves higher there. Broadcom reporting this week. Marvell reporting this week as well. Right now. So here we go. Marvell, nice move, 1.3%. Let's go to Adara. I think there's news and one of her segments.
Small cap?
But New York Times reporting that Trump won't rule out U.S. troops in Iran if necessary. So chance that we'll get these troops in Iran. We know there's already been strikes in Iran from the U.S., so unclear what the specificities of this actually are. If I get more details, I will keep you posted. But again, that is a New York Times headline. Let's talk about these small caps. They're all going to be in that oil and gas space. So, of course, the catalyst for all of them has to do with these strikes that happened in Iran from the U.S. and Israel over the weekend. TPET is the first one here. Trio Petroleum. Some details on Trio Petroleum. $15.3 million market cap. Float here of about 9.6 million shares. That is a sub 10 million share float for TPET. Next up, BATL. I know this is one that has been discussed already today. BATL Battalion Oil Corp, obviously pulling back a little bit from open. $152 million market cap, so larger market cap than some of the names we're going to mention here. Float, 14 million shares. Short float about 7.4%. Last but not least, another energy oil name here, EONR, Eon Resources. See if this let me pulls up the chart. Here, it looks like it won't let me pull up the chart here, but I can tell you about EONR. Eon Resources, $27 million market cap, 39 million share float, so the largest float of the three. Short float about 5.4%. Back to you.
All right, finally, I mean, we'll hit a little bit here. We'll go, hit the sirens. Maybe the siren's not a good thing to hit these days, but there goes Tesla back to the downside. So we're at $1 now or so on this trade, and just back into sort of where we started the short again. So we're short right now at 398.50s. Bouncing again. There we go. We have a level that we've sort of been supporting, so we're going to try to get out of that. Not we, the market. And then so we're going to put another bid there at 397.70 or so. See if we're able to cover a little bit down there again. Take a little bit out at 398. There it is. And then we'll let this name fall down, hopefully, or take us out on the high end. right now. There's a lot of movement back into the downside if we're able to catch it. So there we go now. I don't know, man. I see you guys in the chat talking about TQQ short. That would have been a great call because that was basically at 25,000 right there. So I chose to go with Violence and Tesla to the short side there. But it looks like, yeah, the TQs, and we already got sort of wax on, waxed off right there on the short right there as we got stopped out. But you can see finally for the first time, we're looking right now to take down the 50-period moving average. It's only 10.22, so there are lots of areas for us to fall from here now, man. It's very, very early days. As Adara's here, we're going to talk about the news. She's got that rocking and rolling right now. Nice downside play. Did we get another fill there on Tesla? No, but it just went back down into 397.50. So let's watch out there and go back over to A.
Yeah, more details here coming through. For one, this event at 11 a.m., which we know is going to be the Medal of Honor presentation, apparently it will include discussions of the Iran conflict. So it looks like this is going to be very far out from what we were expecting. As Sean mentioned earlier, Trump speaking at 11 a.m. looks like this is going to directly involve the Iran conflict. So if you're in basically in general, just trading at 11 a.m., just be very careful and be very aware, guys. But I will give you guys all the info you need right here on this desk. Also, furthermore, keep an eye here on the market as CNN reportedly told by President Trump that a big wave is yet to come in the war with Iran. Back to you.
Yeah, a big wave. Well, I don't think anyone's going to be too surprised that if the president talks about anything, you are going to get some kind of an update. I just feel like what are the chances that the tone is going to make you feel better? Probably not. So I'd be a little bit worried that you could have a bit of a tank, but I did finally get into the Intel short. So as we keep pressing higher in the Nasdaq, the market trends up. This one was trending down for reasons, again, doesn't make any sense to me. The consolidation underneath this prior bar low is going to be the short. If we break trend, it's above about the mid 60s. So that's where the out's going to be here on almost at Indo on Intel. INDO, which is Indonesian Energy, which is just a small cap, that played the same lower high. So a bit of a head and shoulders look happening as this energy name was up like 50% because of what's going on over the weekend. It's still under VWAP, so as long as this holds trend down, I'm going to stay short this. But the out is not going to be the volume weighted average price. There's the open, there's the lower high. You break this trend line and I get out, looking for the low of the day there as it continues to head to the downside. If you're looking elsewhere, though, NVIDIA, it went from barcoding at 180 to a very gentle, calm, nice uptrend, and now 2% to the upside. So NVIDIA, where it's bouncing to matters. Like NVIDIA is bouncing the 200-period moving average. This is actually a very good technical bounce here for NVIDIA, regardless. And ultimately, I know you're supposed to react to, yeah, war is bad, which it absolutely is. But in what way does this actually affect NVIDIA negatively? Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know that it does. Like I would think of this as NVIDIA found a bottom after the earnings, and it's the same support levels that it's had for the last couple of quarters, or at least quarter and a half here, the 170 to 175 zone. So NVIDIA, you give it some time after earnings. It looks like it's found a structural low, at least for one day on NVDA. Again, don't really know why some of the other chip names aren't looking strong. I don't have a reason for why Micron is so weak. Like we just showed you that NVIDIA chart. Micron's down at $400. While Indo works, Intel looks like it's trying to catch a bit of a bid. Oh. And look, it's not VWAP, but that's not where the out's going to be in a case like this for me. Right, like it's just, this is the consolidation. I'll go for a tight stop short in here. I want to keep things tired to the vest. Like this Indo trade was something I was liking the whole way. Intel wasn't really on the list, so I don't want to hold it too far against me. So we'll stay with this one. And NCLH, which was the first trade that I had, this is all of a sudden, it's starting to look a little different than it did earlier. So we had the initial short off the open into the even dollar. It just bounced, lower high. Now it's putting in some higher lows. This could put up a almost V-shaped recovery on NCLH. And remember, they were down over 10%. They reported this morning. They actually beat on earnings. It was their guidance that was, they dropped their full year guide. And of course, being in the travel space, I mean, all of the cruise lines were going to be down today regardless. But watch out for this 22.8 to 23 area. If we get up there and break the trend, I can jump back into NCLH for a second time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's makes a lot of sense. Wait for trends to break and wait for them to be set up so that we can actually figure out, where we want to go with trade today. And I'm going to try to go underneath, again, a little bit of a technical trade here with Tesla. I want to thank a new member, shout out right into there. Joining a couple thousand of you right now is Kovi Krish. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Now you'll get Sharif's morning note and all of that attached. Go find out the member benefits for $5 a month, man. You're going to get Sharif's morning note. He works very hard on that, so we want to thank Sharif and thank all of our new members for coming through again, as much as you guys do, man. It means a lot to us. You continue to support the channel in that way. So thank you, Kovi, Krish, and everybody else that continues with those super chats and with everything there as we continue to work out bigger and better things here for us too, and for everybody as we get ready to work on that desk back there. You're hearing a lot of noise in the background as we continue to improve everything around here. And thank you everybody for your patience and time and everything with us here as we continue to do that. Okay, so that's what's happening. I was looking at Bitcoin now because that was a really nice move higher there on IBIT, and it looks like it wants to keep making those moves. Watch out for that $39 level here for IBIT. That's roughly, I guess, 69,000 or so. Obviously a little less than that, but we're there right now, and it looks like we're trying to bounce just a little bit off of that. Okay, good reload. I mean, I'm sorry, I have to keep jumping around here a little bit because the shorts have been getting cooked for me today, and when we get them on and they're actually working, we need to make sure we take a little bit out. So that's what we're doing right now with this trade on Tesla as it comes right back into 398. Look, man, I want to hold, but you can see a lot of reloads up there. We're emptying it out at 398. We're taking 50, 60 cents every single time, knowing that, hey, my out's going to be 400. I don't necessarily want to get too much more. I'm going to try 399.50, and then that's about it. So here it comes right back in again. Let me put another bid at 20. If we can get it, great. We should be able to get that fill. We do not. It bounces right off of us. But that's what we're going to wait for, is just keep on taking 40, 50 cents, see if we can hold on to like 60, 70% of the trade. So if and when we have a downside play, we're able to capture it on TSLA. We can look at Rivian. I mean, that was another name here that had a good report. It did not react well. Days after it, the day after it, it was really well. As Rivian, and that wasn't it. This is it right here. Went from $14.50 all the way to $18, sort of topped out there at $18.50, and now has fallen back right into the 200-period moving average again. So maybe our eyes should be on a Rivian that's at a good support level rather than a Tesla if you're talking about longer term, because, well, longer term you have the robot, so it's a little bit of a different trade. But this one has broken below the 200-period moving average right now is Tesla. And, oh no, it's actually, my bad, it's right at it right now today. Okay, interesting level there at 390.
That's a key hold level.
Yeah, 390, 391 for Tesla. See if it's gonna hold. We're starting to go a little higher now, up to 399 on Tesla. So, hey, this is a good bouncing spot maybe for TSLA as well. I mean, there's reasons why this market rallying right now today. Maybe there's just some key stocks that are hitting on some scanners at some key levels.
Well, I think you have to think about it too. Like, what about what's happening in Iran affects Tesla?
Well, it's just a global uncertainty.
Yeah, it's a global uncertainty thing. So I think when you're at a key level like that, you're going to find some dip buyers that are going to be in play. Like ultimately, this is more of a longer-term energy story, I do think. But I don't necessarily love. Look, Sean was just mentioning Rivian. I'll be dead honest. Like with this one at the $15, the second I heard Rivian in $15, my first thought was, oh, is this going to flat bottom break underneath? I keep looking at this 200 period the other way on Rivian for like a continuation short style trade on a weaker name. Like why not? They're still losing money. I know they had a decent bounce after their Q, but I'd rather go back to like what is actually trending. And if I see something which is trending, like look at it in that direction. But INDO, if you're looking at some of the energy names, this one has been pretty weak since the open. We've seen it with, if you look at like CVX, since the open, like down, holding VWAP lower, now bouncing a little bit here. XOM,
400.
Actually, XOM even worse, continuing its trend now. So CVX getting a little bit of insulation from the energy stock. So that's why I like this Indo short. I feel like if the market continues its trend and we're selling oil and we're selling energy and the market is climbing higher, then Indo seems like a lower hanging fruit, just being an energy name squeezing because of the recent headlines. But I see you in the chat, shirt surf. Why not? Silver is pushing back up. Yeah, this is not what I was expecting with SLV. I don't think we got what we were expecting with GLD either. I mean, how many people expected gold and silver to fade the way that they did right before the open? That said, one is stronger than the other. Gold makes more sense in the flight to safety aspect to have some strength in it today relative to silver. I can get behind that. And if it gets through VWAP, great. But I'd be more interested in the one as a day trade that gives you the bigger juice. If we break VWAP here on gold, silver's got more room to run. That 85, which I thought was early support. When I wrote my note down, I'm thinking early support on silver. But by the time we get there, we're trending down. So yeah, it bounced a couple of times that 85 zone, but ultimately ended up being a better short than it was a long off those levels, giving you like a buck or two. So I'm thinking we break that trend up. I'd rather silver than gold. But that's at least for the time being. INDO starting to bounce a little bit. Going to look for that reload at some point. And Farm Trader, I have not paid for locates on that turbo stock. But as you point out, the same reason INDO, you know, small cap or gapping up, losing VWAP, that does fall into that category. But, you know, INDO is the one that I'm looking at. So we'll stick with that.
Okay. Yeah, 1033 right now. Energy obviously on our mind. I got Tesla on my mind. We just broke through 398 there. So that stock working out so far. Here's DXY. You know, we'll have to hear what's going on, obviously across the pond there, and figuring out what Trump's going to be talking about. And sorry, I'm stumbling there because now it's 25 minutes, and I was just looking for another trade, and I wanted to talk about the dollar. Right now, the dollar's not doing a whole heck of a lot, man, to be honest with you. 98.50 here, just kind of hovering around today. And I was just, you know, mentioning or just talking with Joe for a second there, and it's just like, you know, why is the market like kind of reacting like this, moving to the upside? And it's like sometimes when you look left, the market goes right, you know, and it's not potentially, you know, if you had asked somebody about where oil might be, if you had sort of known about how, look, I mean, that was another, what the hell? Look at this market. Like if you had said that, you know, the United States would have basically launched such a heavy attack over there in Iran and taken out the whole regime, pretty much. I mean, they took out the leader there, and it was like 40 or 50 other high-ranking officials in Iran. I would have thought, honestly, that oil would have had a little bit more of a bid under it than just 6%. You know, when Russia invaded Ukraine, the price of oil was $120. You know, now you're down to $71. So, I mean, there is a lot of room to go to the upside on energy. And so potentially here, you can just see the fact that oil is not moving much is telling us that maybe the market is just assessing this as, you know, you never want to say no big deal. And that's what I said to Joe. This is a major thing that's happened. I mean, you know, to talk about loss of life and all the damage that's been done across the board is bad. For sure, and we hate to see that. But the oil market's not really reacting the way that I thought. I thought we could have been up double digits for sure, not 6%. Gold's not even, I mean, gold's having like an average day, you know, considering what gold's been doing. And look, up 1% is still great. And then silver started going, and then boom, yeah, silver down 3.5%. So the volatility remains in all this space. It's just the volatility to me is not in the way that I thought it would be, man. I thought we would see a market to the downside, not to the upside.
You know what? It's 1 hour into the first day of the market open on this news. So I think, you know, you could just be seeing like a little bit of a,
seems like just another day.
Think of it this way. We've been anticipating this action for a while, right? So everyone was saying it's escalating. We keep talking about it. This could be serious. There's going to be, look, they're going to go in, and it could get harsh. But we've been mentioning this again for quite some time. So that would also mean that there's lots of money which is priced this in. So if people were buying energy names going into this and shorting a bunch of stuff going into this, well then maybe this is some covering. Maybe this is, okay, well, the event happened, let's take some profit, buy the rumor, sell the news. But that doesn't have to last forever. The second salvo could come tomorrow. I'll come in tomorrow thinking the same way about some of the energy names. Okay, fine, Oxy didn't set up today for the continuation. Well, obviously not. Like, look at this. Like, that's nasty. There was never any bid at the pre-market lows. There was never any bid at $55, so you don't have to jump into the trade. But the daily chart still looks pretty good. Like, you're still on a breakout on the daily chart. It's going to end up, whoops, that's way too far. barring something crazy, it's going to end up holding the prior low. So the structure of the trade's fine. Wow. Just seems like a little bit of profit taking here. So I don't want to overreact. Like, Oxy's still up 2%. I can't hate completely on this. And maybe some of that money that we're seeing go to the upside is just going to be some covering of those that anticipated this trade. Just for the last one I'm in right now is INDO. It's obviously got a bit of a trend line, so forget about VWAP, forget about my prior stop. If we break this trend line, I'm out, and I wait for the volume-weighted average price there. So just got to be a little bit patient, and Joe Schmoll agrees. There's some short covering. Like, look at IBIT on this tear. Right, look at that. This is not flight to safety IBIT's up, right? Like, this is not, oh, you know, we're going to use this as a safety aspect. No, this is literally, Bitcoin has been trash, and this event is like, okay, sell the news for the shorts, which is buying some back, I would suppose, as you're just absolutely flying. But look at it on the higher time frame. It's just still in this bear flag. Has it broken 40 bucks? Have we broken 70,000? No. We're still in a consolidation off of the lows. So I wouldn't be like, I own IBIT. I'm not celebrating today because I don't know how much I believe in this until we start making some higher lows, break outside of this range. This could end up being a bit of a trap when we look back at this in 24 hours.
Yeah, probably too early to celebrate anything. I mean, we were pretty happy. Big Tesla broke, by the way, and we switched over to the long finally as Tesla breaks 400. You know, not the end of the world. We did average it in there on Tesla. So, yeah, you know, that kind of does suck that you see where it's broken through now. And obviously buying the longs down there, I thought this was going to be a relatively weak stock, but no, as there it goes, straight to the upside Tesla. So we're taking a little bit of profit when we win, and when we lose, we're taking a little bit of a hit. So here it is now up 60 cents. Let's offer out some Tesla as we can get through there now. But now that you've broken above, like you see how we really held this 25 period moving average. So I think that's 398 and change. So if we can get back into there, that would be a good spot to maybe think about averaging in to this name if it does come back in. So we want to do that. So that's 399.80s. I'm bidding. 398. 80s is the biggest spot. I am bidding a little bit near 400 in case that does come back in. So that's that 399.80 level. And then we'll wait to see what happens on this break of 398 if it does get nasty. But we might as well, there it is. We might as well get back into the long. So here we go. So sorry, man, we got stopped out short on that one, but then we went reverse into the long because we've seen this break 400 before. The last time this broke 400, we got a $13 winner. This went to $400 and $413. So hopefully that can continue to go upside. We will take $1 on one more piece of this, and then we'll see if we can hold the rest. We'll hold 80% and see how high we can go until we breach something like this 25 period moving average, and hopefully we'll be able to follow it, follow it all the way back up. So that's what we'll be doing right there. It's 10:40 now, man. We're gonna have a brand new What's for Lunch this week. We'll see how that's gonna be kicking out. We do have a lot of news this week, obviously. More earnings, big earnings coming.
Plenty of earnings this week.
Yeah, a lot of big earning names you might not be ready for. CrowdStrike, Broadcom, Marvell.
Well, whether we're ready or not, they're going to have
AI.
CrowdStrike's been on it's been doing something, that's for sure. Today you're going to be up because everything is bouncing, but let's not forget Woodshed. Woodshed for some of the cybersecurity names. This went 20% to the downside. It's actually it's pulling back and looking pretty good here. What is PanW doing?
A good 150. Yeah.
150. Okay, I won't bother checking now. But these are big earnings. Names have to come through. The other thing that's for point side, we're going to go to Adair in a quick little second. ASTS, and remember, on Friday we got the news that we could be seeing this month, as early as this month, SpaceX IPO. So that's potentially in the cards. A bit of a rally here in some of the space names, but that could just be bouncing.
I think that would have to be announced soon, man, to get done in March.
Well,
there's so much
100%. I was hoping to have heard something over the weekend. The fact that we didn't, maybe we could be waiting till the summer. Who knows? But let's go to Adair. It's already 10:40.
Time flies when you're having fun, that's for sure. I mean, energy minerals certainly, if not flying, then doing relatively well, without a doubt, as we do have, of course, geopolitical tensions still with Iran and the U.S. Again, we're going to hear more about that from President Trump at 11 a.m. Apparently, he will be making Iran-related announcements alongside this Medal of Honor ceremony that will be happening at 11. So should be an interesting one. Of course, I'll cover that for you guys live right here. Tech services had some strong performers. Meta, Palantir, of course, in sympathy with defense plays on the Middle East situation. Oracle and Microsoft all strong. Electronic tech I mean, again, you're going to have defense plays being standouts, RTX and LMT to the upside, but NVIDIA also strong here. A lot of these other chip names, though, relatively weak. Consumer non-durables, quite weak. Consumer services, quite weak. And health tech also struggling quite a lot here. Thermo Fisher down almost 3%. Retail trade, another sector that's struggling a bit here, with Home Depot down 2.5%. And consumer durables, other than Tesla, which is relatively flat, some weakness here as well. Back to you.
Which I wasn't.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you very much. As always, Adara, we have a button for it that we haven't used, so we're going to use it right now.
Thank you very much, Dara.
I like that. I like that.
Which we like to do every now and then. So it looks like we're going to get back into the low here. If we don't break trend on INDO here, then we're going to hold through a flush. But now all of a sudden that'll be right above the $7 level. So we'll just keep it, keep tightening the stop up on this, or at least the trail, and see if we can't get right into this low of the day, which is 675, actually 673. So I'm just going to put it in front of the 70s, see if we get it all the way down to the bottom. So trend in, trend out. Indo continues to fade a little bit. If you're wondering, it's not just a random small capper. Yeah, it's a small capper underneath the volume weighted average price, but it is also an energy name. Here's Oxy rolling over a little bit. XOM, which XOM's been weaker all morning long. It just broke the low of the day as well. So weakness, again, market strength, but then weakness in the energy names. That's led to this INDO to the downside. I just heard AVAV in my ear. Ooh, losing VWAP. So even some defense names starting to pull back. Yeah, they're losing the narrative a little bit here. AVAV was up through that $300 level again. That's a big level for AVAV. Not holding there shouldn't be too much of a surprise. Closing above 50, the 50 period would be a good sign for them. But again, sell the news. Yeah, it's up 15% for the last 40 minutes or so. What's been a sell?
Yeah, look at Big Bear AI up 5%. These guys are going to report after hours, so we were talking about it. This is my price right now, so finally back to the upside there. Buying it off weakness was a good idea today. We talked about why, man. I mean, I like the technology with Big Bear AI. We talked about the world of uncertainty and security and all that kind of stuff. Big Bear AI is the hardware behind most of that, right? So you guys can look them up, the heat scanners, you know, different tanker scanners and everything like that they'll use at borders and whatnot. We'll see if Big Bear AI can get going on that one. And finally, man, we finally got a good idea about going long. And Tesla giving me $1. We just got, oops, that's not Tesla chart. This is the Tesla chart. After losing our way a little bit going short, we finally reversed. Well, I mean, the short was fine. We just got stopped out on the 400 break. We should have just been expecting that. And then that was a couple outs. And like I said, we still have 20%. Our last out right there was 80s. So we got 80s and 90s, 95s. So that was 5% each. So we got 10%, the first space at 50. Then we got another 5% up here. And then another 5% again. So we're out of 20% at these levels. Hey guys, you already hit your goal. I mean, hey man, that's what we talk about. We talk about that all the time on the show, man. Hitting your, well, I do anyways, hitting your daily goal early. So there it is, done for the day. That's the life. That's what you want. That's what I'm trying to show you, that lifestyle. Put that back up, man. I missed it, that super chat. I didn't even get to talk about it. Right there, beautiful day and go. Oh, GRR, yeah, that's been a good stock.
Gorilla?
We can look at that one as well.
That's
earnings after hours today. Contracts, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, that's what everybody hopes for, man, that you get those sticky contracts, especially government ones. Right there. GUR is Gorilla, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I double check. It is Gorilla.
Yeah, so here's GRR.
So it's
Gorilla Technology Group.
After hours. Look at it hold this. Man, it's holding the $10 as if this was a SPAC. Like usually when you see $10 support, I assume it used to be a SPAC, but it doesn't look like it. But yeah, good support level. It's trying to break trend, but hasn't done so. I'm zooming it out so you get a better look at. Obviously, it's been failing into this $10 level over and over again. It's bounced, so maybe a good look there. Always a bit of a gamble going into earnings. You just never know what can happen. There was a second super chat that we missed, and this is apologies, because I don't think we got this from Easy Media. So my bad. I'm pretty sure this came in early. I think this was a while ago. Why is RCAT running? Here, I see this story. Right here, Allen Control Systems joins Red Cat Futures Initiative to advance autonomous counter-drone and precision defense capabilities. So that's the story that I was able to see. Hopefully that might help you. RCAT, you want to load, is up like 27% here today. There's a good-looking chart. Hold that 50 period, break it out, get to 15.
There goes Tesla.
Holding that VWAP, so that's another strong one. I'm almost out of my... of Indo. Looks like actually it is bouncing off that low. So a bit of a double bottom being formed. I'm just going to jump out of the trade for a couple of reasons, right? Like, it's got a support level. At any moment, anything happens in Iran or any update that we get, energy names could go spiking. So I think these are all scalp trades, and I don't want this like breaking this downward trend, and then I'm just giving up 30 cents or something for no apparent reason. So we'll keep our ear to the ground for sure. Obviously expecting to see some updates throughout the day. But if this gets to VWAP, I'd look for a fade one more time.
Can't see
the eyeballs, my eyeballs now are going to be firmly, well, Palantir just broke the high of the day. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, things are ripping.
Well, the market ripping. That's sort of the idea.
You guys are putting in some,
strength.
yeah, you guys are putting in some nice emojis. I can't show them on the show. It doesn't go on our working there, but thank you so much, man. We are in a little bit of a rocket ship right now on Tesla. You know, finally switched it over into the long, and there it goes, man. Just a little piece out there at 41.40s, 401.40s, and now we trying to go upside. We are long right now on Tesla. Someone in the chat, shout out to my guy over there, says, why are we still shorting Tesla? No, we flipped over to the long. So, yeah, shorting things have been wrong. We had Palantir short. Everything was good because we were able to blow out of it. The only, you know, our biggest loser today is going to be the futures because we just tried it 3 times. And I still, you know, like I still don't mind this area short. We have the president coming in 12 minutes. That should definitely create some excitement back into the market. So we'll see if that creates one way or the other. Okay, so AVAV actually got a downgrade in the middle of the day. That's why double downgrade from Raymond James, I just heard. Right there. So those of you that are saying it's tanking, it is tanking, but it's more aggressive now because of that double downgrade there. So AVAV from 3 bills down into 280 again, still up nicely there as we, you know, talk all about that aspect of drone warfare and everything. So you can, you know, name like a Joby, although this is not the same. These guys talked about eVTOLs and everything with Uber last week, and Joby's been sort of going to the upside. I think that story's a good one, man, opening that up and offering, you know, these flights on your Uber app. So I think that that's going to be a good thing for Joby there as it's trying to base and get going a little bit more there for JOBI. So we'll have to wait to see what's going on there with Joby. We're still sitting in this, man. Now it's not 1, but it's now $2 in. We'll put another piece out here. Oh, I'm already there at 402. So if it does rip up there into the 402 area, we'll take out one more piece and then we'll hold, again, 70% of this trade on Tesla. And maybe we'll take out like, you know, 10 or 15% every dollar as we go upside, and we'll knock on wood and hope that this trade is not over to the long side. It's 10.50 right now. Let's go. Here it goes. Let's go over to Adara for Money Talks.
Let's talk the U.S. dollar, which is actually breaking out here. We did have, of course, that 98 level of resistance. DXY, as we do have geopolitical tensions, of course, on watch. Not caring about that level anymore. Nice breakout here right off the open for the DXY and continuing this uptrend that we've been in since making that base on January 27th of 2026. The low of that day around 95.5. So nice recovery again over this roughly month-long period since. A nice way for the U.S. dollar to start the month of March. We did have some PMI prints coming through this morning, both of which were higher than expected. ISM, PMI at 10, and then S&P PMI at 945. Tomorrow, some Fed speak, nothing else major for economic data. We're going to get some more PMI, specifically services and composite PMI coming through on Wednesday. Thursday, you, of course, get jobless claims as well as important export prices. And then Friday, you're going to get the non-farm payrolls. So interesting kind of mixed day in terms of important economic data, though I think in the back half of the week, you're certainly going to get more numbers of note to watch. Here's the CME FedWatch tools. We now have about 2 weeks or so until that next FOMC meeting. Almost all participants here expecting that we're going to have no rate cut. Rates will be held in place. April, still expecting at this point 83% chance here that there will be no rate cut or rate hike. Still majority expecting no rate cut or rate hike in June, but then in July, as we've said before now, July seems to be the first month that we are expecting potentially some kind of rate move. 45.1% of participants expecting a 25 basis point cut. Back to you.
Hey, thank you,
yeah, no change. It's super high. To be this far out and see like 98%, that tells you all you need to know. But to see almost 70,000 on Bitcoin can be a little bit surprising because it came in looking relatively weak. But let's be real. I don't think this is the time for any super celebrations. I want to pull up a 30-minute should be. 60 will be a little bit better. Let's put up an hour chart. So if you look at this on a 60-minute where we're sitting in Bitcoin, you're basically going back to late February resistance where we failed the 70,000 mark. It's not that long ago. So we're getting a bit of a nice relief rally. I'm going to look at that 70,000 on Bitcoin and see a bit of weakness. ONDS, which, by the way, is oddly enough number 2. Tesla's number 1 on our stock visualizer.
Okay.
Number 2 is not NVIDIA. It's not Bitcoin. It's not Palantir. It's ONDS. Up 18%. Hey, it fits the theme for today. So ONDS looking pretty strong. It's holding right at VWAP. So unlike INDO, which, by the way, just failed, and is a small capper, which is gapped up and couldn't hold VWAP, this one is holding the volume weighted average price. So a bit of continuation. If you like it when they don't hold for the short, then a gapper that has continuation and holds on to VWAP all morning long, I like that bit of a spot. Can't seem to break $12, which provides an opportunity for like a dip into volume weighted average price, hold into a break of 12 makes a little bit of sense to me. And yeah, that Bitcoin move, surprising. But you know what? If we don't break that 70,000, that does provide a bit of a trading opportunity, I do think. And we're getting pretty darn close. 69.1, of course, now wants to. Is it really going to break trend right here as I'm talking about it before we get to 70,000? Apparently it is.
Yeah, so just hearing in our ear that AVAV does get that double. Maybe you can address this, Adara. Double downgrade from AVAV. We'll talk about that in a second as we get going to what's for lunch, and then we'll go over to Adara and discuss that because we are just like,
would be nice.
Something hot would be great. Well, we do have a U.S. flag today, so we'll shut it. I don't have I was going to push the USA chicken. We only have that. Neil's hoping for the fried chicken.
Wow.
Well, today you'll get something called California fresh grilled chicken, the complete opposite, Neil, of fried chicken. This is fresh grilled chicken, so Sharif will be happy with seasoned, and so will I. So will we all, I hope. If it's tasted well, I hope we'll all get, we'll all be happy. Roasted seasoned veg. I love roasted vegetables for sure. And then sweet potato and garden salad. I'll take it. I mean, honestly.
Sweet potato, yes.
Grilled chicken, sweet potato, roasted veggies, salad.
Sweet potato.
Finally, a proper lunch. So that is what's for lunch here at Trader TV Live. Make sure you guys do check out the Academy. We're posting up in there all day long. We're going to have some interesting talks in there for sure. Get those missions going, man. I want to see you guys complete all of those tutorials in there. Not right now. I mean, we've got a show to do, but maybe after, go in there and do it. And the good thing about it is you can do it as you trade. They're not overly time sensitive or anything like that. So get in there, check it out. The Trader TV Academy, scan that QR code immediately and get involved with TTVL Academy. All right, Adara, any news there on that AVAV double downgrade?
So it literally, as you said, came out intraday. Looks like earliest I could find mention of it, 10:41 a.m. It only just now populated on Benzinga, so this is just now showing up because I was looking for it earlier, couldn't find it. Now it is on Benzinga. That is a double downgrade from strong buy to underperform. Not seeing any price target associated with it. But again, this stock dropping roughly $30 over the last 45 minutes. This drop actually, though, starting before I started seeing this downgrade circulate. Back to you.
Yeah, we're pointing out it made a top for the last hour before the double downgrade had been reported as well. We got a super chat from Willis Addison. I did get the trend break on IBIT, so I'm into that one. So we have a new trade, at least for myself. But I can throw it up if we can find it. Willis Addison, silver, dump it. Drill Sergeant, come on. $80. Oh, okay. First, I saw JP Morgan in $80, and I realized you were talking about SLV. For a split second there, I'm like, JP Morgan, $80? You crazy? No, but you're absolutely right. Silver breaking trend. It had actually started to bounce a little bit and now breaking that little uptrend going into VWAP. So I don't know what the drill sergeant is. Maybe you were saying and dump it like a drill sergeant, like out of Full Metal Jacket. What was the guy? Something Emery was the legendary drill sergeant. Something, what was his name? Yeah. Great movie. But silver headed back to $80. It has not been what you expected out of the metals. A flight to safety has not been a flight to safety in SLV or GLD. As gold, not as bad. Actually, gold's still up. GLD's still up 1%. But both of them are trend down from the open.
I just want to, we're only 3 minutes away from going over to the midday. These guys will be on fire today, man. We got Joey, we got Sharif, we got Adara all ready to go. We've got President Trump speaking at 11 o'clock. So that should be hot fire as well. We got fire in the booth. Tesla right now, I'm waiting for 402.75. Hopefully we'll be able to get out there 402.75. And then just so you guys know, we'll do that super chat in a minute. I am going to reload a little bit here at the 21 period. It just missed us. So, you know, that is what it is. Tesla about to go green. We like that. My stop is going to be 399 break. All right, so if that does happen, that's going to be the stop. I think we're fine with that. We're 250 in the money now. So to be 250 in the money to give yourself $1 worth of a break, that's already a 2-to-1 risk. So we're happy for that one, and hopefully it does not go into the gates of hell. MSTR, BTC overdone this morning. Shorting MSTR yet? So I was looking at, so I already got short on IBIT once, and thankfully we got out of that one because IBIT is just straight fire right now to the upside. Like this is, Bitcoin's really caught in a bid here right now. So I think you're getting close. Just like I said with Tesla, like we are getting close to selling off Tesla down to the downside there when we get to get out on the 50 period. This looks like right now we're trying to bounce off the 50 period moving average. So yeah, I can't say that I like that trade. I mean, those are technical levels that your boy looks at. So I'm there for that. And then here's MSTR. Again, you have to always look to see what Bitcoin's doing. So you don't want to do one without the other, obviously. And they both match, and they should be good breaks. So yeah, I think you're onto something there with that post about potentially looking for the short end of the stick here on MSTR and IBIT. We could have maybe got out of some more there. What's that high? 402.50. Let's put an offer at 402.50 just to get out of another piece on Bitcoin. On Tesla.
Oh, I wanted to address something from Sahil.
Yeah, go.
Sahil just said in the chat, Sean, please buy some small stocks under 50 to 100. Can't bulk on Tesla. There's TSLL if you're trading Tesla.
Yeah, good point.
There's always okay, I shouldn't say always. There is often another opportunity out there. Like most of the big cap tech names are going to have some kind of like a leveraged ETF type play where it'll have the same chart. It'll be a cheaper stock, but it'll still do volume. For those, if you trade silver, you can trade ZSL. I always get that one wrong. That'll be inverse. There's usually something, especially if it's a big tech name. Like smaller names aren't going to have these types of products, but almost everything else does. So you're going to have an option. I think you'll see Joe trade those at times. So there was that trend break on IBIT. I'm now in on that trend break. For now, the stop is at the prior bar like it always is. It's 39.44, and I want to play this back into VWAP. The headline we just see here is Treasury is terminating all use of Anthropic products. I guess this is just, it started last week with the Department of Defense.
Yeah, he sort of warned everybody.
And well, I mean, it's unprecedented. The designation that they use, supply chain risk, that's something they only use, in the past, have only used for like foreign. It has to be something foreign. For this to be, it's a bit unprecedented for them to use this for Anthropic. So the lashing out, I guess, against them continues. Part of the reason, I mean, we also saw OpenAI pick up that contract, and Microsoft was strong this morning, relatively strong this morning because of it. I guess we're running into some resistance on Microsoft at $400. But yeah, big story there, not that great for Anthropic. But I think it was Adara pointing out, or at least somebody pointed out this morning, there was a large swath of downloads over the weekend with Anthropic. Yeah, #1 in the Apple Store, which you can read that two ways. Just any news is good news, but also that there's some that are saying, hey, now if I want to be rebellious and pick the side against the administration, now I want to be on the Anthropic side. I suppose that could be part of it, but either way, I think it's good for Microsoft's strength, the OpenAI contract, because that's huge for them. OpenAI, that is.
All right, it's 11:01. Great show, man. Make sure you guys join the Academy. We're a minute over. It's like a running joke over here. Now we only owe Joe 98 minutes, so it's still long. He said we owe you an hour and a half.
He was making up some crazy numbers last week.
So now we got an hour and a half. So the other way around, 88 minutes or so now. Market could pull back. We are waiting for Trump right now at 11 o'clock. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We're back at 2.